Head to Knoxville, don't be late. Baker's Live, it's gonna be great. June 5th and 6th, mark your date at Dollywood, we'll celebrate. Meet Baker and more cool friends. Live show magic that never ends. Come to Dollywood, feel the vibe. With great people there, it's gonna be a ride. Rides, fun, and meet and greet. Baker and pals, the crew's so sweet. Get ready for laughs, cheers, and thrills. Knoxville's the place, it's giving chills. Meet Baker and more cool friends. Live show magic that never ends. Come to Dollywood, feel the vibe. With great people there, it's gonna be a ride. June 5th and 6th, don't miss the fun. Meet Baker and friends, it's second to none. Don't miss the fun. Meet Baker and friends, it's second to
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whoever you are, whatever you are. That's wrong intro. Whoever you are, whatever you are. No. What if any you might be? I don't know. Welcome to day 3 in the Natalie Cochran trial. And yes, someone complained yesterday on TwitTwat that I call it the Redrum trial. Why didn't I just call it the turn the letters around and just substitute one of them? Because that's just as stupid. At least this one is an homage to a great movie called The Shining. This case is, on the face of it, a lady who had a Ponzi scheme going. Her husband found out. She said, well, I'm going to unalive you. And she did, according to the state. They haven't really talked about how she was going to cover it if he didn't say it to anyone else. She bounced some checks a month later, and then she got caught. So it's not as simple as they would want you to believe. The defense claims, according to them, he was suffering from several medical he had several sicknesses. He had swelling of the brain. He had seizures. He was doing roids. So he just dropped dead. Can't blame her. Again, easy peasy, but haven't really been proven yet. It's not their time to shine so far, but still. So far, I think the defense is ahead. The reasonable doubt is the level we always have to rise above. And I don't feel that the state has really gotten there yet. Other people in chat disagree, and that is perfectly fine. We are here to follow alongside each other, and we don't have to be unanimous in this trial. We just have to have fun, participate in chat, be friendly to each other, and have a wonderful Friday because it's Friday, Friday, Friday. Ooh, Friday, Friday, Friday. Yeah. Talking about Fridays, Stab Your Day is normally a Saturday thing. Tomorrow, sadly, we have one of my wonderful co-host that has a prior engagement. So Stab Your Day will be off tomorrow. I might try to do something else. I don't know. Build some Lego, talk some talk, open the StreamYard link, do something, but Stab Your Day, it won't be. So Marissa won't have to listen to the crazy laughing lady. But that's where we are so far. Hey, Brett and Helen from Holland. Tim Swoop, is the state going to have any witness today that gets the proof of the crime so far? Sippy. Yeah, so far it's she was a bad person. She stole money. But a robber doesn't make you an unaliver. Just waiting, 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 morning. Hey, Lolita. Good night, Pixie. And it's twice I've seen you today. Pixie and I did the Baker at Night show earlier today. It was a wonderful show. But if Jamie shows up today, we will be discussing a beauty hack that I found that I want Jamie's professional. Remember, Jamie is a professional beauty artist, so I want her hot take on a beauty thing I found yesterday. Hey, Kathy and Rianne and Gwyn and Kim, Nina, Canadian, Brandon. As long as you stay here in peace, we will have a peace drink at the end of the show. Well, the end of the day, not the show, because there might be 2 shows today. Don't know anything about this. Well, it's they claim she poisoned her. She claims he was just sick. And so far, we haven't had any medical records introduced. So it's hard for me to see the poisoning, but I hope they will bring in some medical evidence. The state said everything we have is circumstantial. So we don't have the smoking gun. So it's going to be interesting because circumstantial evidence is fine if it's just strong circumstantial evidence. So far, it's just she stole money from other people. Hey, Hyacinth. I watched some of Lawyer Lee's deep dive into the whole situation. It's wilder than I thought, the Ponzi stuff. Yes, I know that doesn't have anything to do with the trial, but it's fascinating. Yes. And if you really want the backstory, I can only highly recommend Lawyer Lee. She is in court every day. She has been covering all of this. Just promise me you will, as we say in Denmark, keep shit for itself and cinnamon for itself. Because you will look at the Ponzi scheme and think she's a horrible person. But a robber don't a killer make. It's very important that you put down a line straight between it and say, all of her financial crimes is really bad. She's serving 11 years for that. Booyah. What are the evidence that she unalived her husband? But I can only recommend Lawyer Lee. Wonderful streamer, really great at what she's doing. And maybe if one of the mods could share her link, you get, if you want to follow this case, you get the absolute best coverage with Lawyer Lee. We also stole a little background knowledge from the courtroom from Lawyer Lee because the jury makeup is 2/3 female, 1/3 male. Lots of younger people on the jury. She claims they are, not claims, she says they are attentive and listening. A few had a bad reaction from the aggressiveness of the defense. We have talked about this. I think he's hitting some good objections, but I think he does it too much. And some of you said he talks too much over people. I agree. Defense is getting the points across to the jury is her belief. And Michael's stepdad had been in court and his mom came in after the letter about her was brought in. There have been other relatives too, but the kids have not been in court yet. and Monday there will not be a court. It's Martin Luther King's Day. And in these times, what a wonderful message he had that if any of you have followed my Twitter, as I said this morning, could we just stop with all of the hate? Go back to what he originally said. I hope that at some point my children will be seen for their character, not their. I think a lot of people really should think about this these days. A hot take on a hat trick. Well, steamy at last. I think once we hear from the med expert, it will help my view on this. I agree. We need to have some proof that he didn't have all the illnesses the defense claims. No, please, no, don't bring up that beauty hack ever again. Oh, Jemima. I am here to serve. And if it's serving by giving you ladies another beauty hack, I will do that. I did a stint at LC to build your self-esteem. Still back 6 hours, no sleep for you, Marissa. Was your friend over there, Valhalla's leader? So with the backstory, do you think the husband was in on it? I don't go into the backstory, but I think if you're running a company together, you have all of this excess income. As someone told me on Twitter, well, no, I think it was in my comments. Well, yeah, he knew they had money, but he didn't know where it came from. Well, he's part of the company. One company was trying to get government contracts. They didn't have any government contracts. So they got all the money and they did none of the work. I wish that was how YouTube worked, because I would love to just be on my bed and see the super chats come pouncing in. But we do have to be here. How can you let me switch this around. Is that a turtle in the background? Where? Don't have no turtles. Let me switch this around. The husband is still alive. His wife is then arrested, and they bring her up on charges of a Ponzi scheme in a company they run together that he is the daily part of the daily management of. Would you believe him if he said, I didn't know, but you have a Shelby Cobra, you have 2 Yamaha bikes, you have 2 ATVs. Didn't you wonder where all of that money came from? No, didn't think about it. We must have gotten some contract I didn't know. Would you buy that, or would you say he's probably in on it? That's my biggest problem. It's a married couple. They run 2 companies together. He was in on some of the emails from the bank, but he knew nothing. Allegedly $11 million. No, how much was it? $2.5 million, I think it was, came into their accounts without them doing anything. It was just investment from friends and family. And he didn't say, honey, should we be burning all of that money? We don't have any income. Would you buy it if he was still alive that he knew nothing? It's not like we've talked a lot about the Murdoch trial in this one. His wife had nothing to do with his accounting, his lawyer firm. So I could believe she just thought he made money. She didn't know he stole it from dead people. It's one of those things where if you take the money part and only look at the money part, would you believe he had no knowledge at all? When you look, 2 Yamaha bikes, 2 ATVs, 1 Shelby Cobra, would you believe that, nah, he probably thought she won the lottery? Or would you say he was probably in on it in some way? Hey, Gwen, happy birthday. 22 never looked this good. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Miss Gwen. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Sometimes you don't ask questions you don't want the answer to. No, but being stupid is not an excuse in a legal case. So if your name is on the paper, you will go down, even though you claim, well, that was more just I signed stuff. You will still go down for fraud. I totally think he knew and was an active participant. Hey, Kimbers, Ohio, 22 years old. That's wonderful, Gwenny. Again, no proof. She was close to catching on. That's the same as saying, I never cheated, but either you know or you don't know. You're not close to catching on. If you're asking questions, if they will produce a witness that said Michael had been talking a lot about he just didn't understand where all this income came from, and he was going to confront her with it, I will buy 100% that this guy didn't know it. But if it's just, well, he was about to catch on because she was canceling an appearance at the bank, no, I wouldn't buy that. It's in Denmark we have the thing where we say stupidity isn't a defense. If you're saying, well, I didn't know it was illegal, it doesn't matter. It's still illegal. It's against the law. You should have known better. Sadly, that's just how it is. And I think if any of us had heard only the financial part of it and Michael was still alive, you would wonder, why isn't he also in prison? Almost pregnant. Yeah. You can't be a little bit pregnant. That's the problem. She had a financial appointment. I believe that she had one on the day off as well. But if it's the week after, then he would be in the hospital. He would be in the hospital if it's after he passed out, or if she had a financial appointment the week after he was dead. But she never went to those financial apartments. Thank you, Jen Jen. Yeah, ignorance is bliss, but it's not a legal defense. If you've signed the dotted line, your ass is toast. In trying here, this lawyer needs to hammer on the fact that there is no evidence or highlight some jury instruction in closing, or it's a lost cause. For which side? If it's right what lawyer Lee says, that she has the feeling that the jury is buying what the defense is selling, then the state really have, I think, unless they can bring in someone who can say Michael was asking a lot of questions about financing, or the talk screen showed he had a very high, unusual something in his system, they will have to make some of the best closing arguments ever to tie a knot around all of this. Talking about tying the knot. Hey, Jamie.
Hi.
Oh, defenseman. I think he's winning some of it. We don't know. We have no medical evidence of anything. You have to wait till it's the defense time to talk. The state haven't raised any objections against it. So I don't know. I don't know if she used her cancer to lie, or we have to watch the trial and see where we end up. But Jamie, did you watch my night show?
No, I was sleeping.
No. You are my beautyologist.
Am I?
And Yeah, you're the most knowledgeable futurist I know.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna ask you a simple question. Have you tried this?
I've heard of people doing that, and it's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard of in my life.
You've heard about people doing that. Why haven't you
Yeah.
burned their houses down?
Because I just let them burn their own house down. That's disgusting. If you want to put your own poop on your face, go for it. It's the same thing with
Jamie,
the
I didn't read it out so the YouTube gods wouldn't hate me.
I'm sure we're fine about it. There's probably people on here right now doing it as we speak. People do it with their own urine too. So apparently
Yeah.
they claim that your own urine is the fountain of youth. So hey, everybody go try it. And let us know. Report back.
Brendan, you were at Elsie's last night. I just found a beauty hack that apparently you give your face a good rubbing on your own droppings, and it's really good for your skin. Don't try this at home. Remember, this channel gives no medical or legal advice.
Good morning, all.
No, Dave. Please. Yeah,
We
Dave, go ahead.
continue in the jury trial of State of West Virginia versus Natalie Cochran. This is case number 23-F-343K. All parties are present, including the defendant.
Candace, that's why you should follow the Discord. Most streams we will notify on Discord when we go live.
Are there matters that we need to take up at this time out of the presence of the jury?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Very well. Bailiff, bring in the jury.
No, it's not family according to Lawyer Lee. At least not her children. Baseball player used to pee on their hands to thicken calluses. How is that good for your face? Maybe it make it weather resistant.
Just please stop it, people. It's gross.
Number 2, facial cream.
No. Who said that?
Thank you.
Jim? Quit.
If it's perma poo, do you do it like a crayon? Well, beauty on a budget. This Sunday, Jamie will go into all the intricate test techniques to do before you do it.
No.
I just saw it and thought, oh, I have to show Jamie this. And then, of course, you knew it.
Yeah, people do some weird stuff.
You're so mean. You ruined a perfectly good. Jamie, do you know why the snowman was smiling?
Good morning, ladies and
Why?
He saw the snowblower coming down the street.
gentlemen of the jury, and welcome back. I'm glad to see your smiling faces, at least some smiling faces. I hope you rested well and you are ready to continue. Today is Friday, and so that's a happy thing. We are still on the state's case in chief, and we will get started right away. Mr. Truman, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. State
I love I'm so old now I crack myself up. That's Joker Club.
calls Jason Bowen.
Jason Bowen. Isn't he one of the contractors?
Yeah, I think he was one of the contractors who helped get him on the stand. You have a strapping physique.
If you'll raise
Did
your
you
right hand,
ever
please,
work
sir.
out
Do you swear
with
or affirm to tell
Michael?
the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
When you worked,
You may be
did you
seated
do it
right there.
without shirt on? Your Honor, can we make him remove the shirt? Maybe put a little baby oil
Thank
on.
you, Your Honor. What's your name, please?
Jason Bowen.
And Mr. Bowen, tell us what you do for a living.
I'm a general contractor. do all aspects of construction.
And where are you currently working?
I have a company called Dreamcatchers Construction.
And do you operate
Dream
locally
Catchers
here in Raleigh County?
Construction.
No, I travel.
And currently, what projects are you working on, or just generally, where are you working?
I'm up north, working on a church currently.
Let me take you back to 2019. Where were you then? Where were you working then?
In 2019, we was working for Mr. and Mrs. Cochran, doing various projects.
Was that your same company?
Mm-hmm.
And did you work full time for the Cochrans, or did you take other work as well?
No, we worked fully for Mr. and Mrs. Cochran.
Your Honor, due to poor planning, I forgot to turn on the equipment. If that's
All right, so we'll get you some assistance.
okay. Did you work solely by yourself with the Cochrans, or did you have other people working with you?
No, it was me and my business partner, Jonathan Miller.
And Mr. Miller died as a result of a vehicle accident, is that correct?
He did.
Do you know approximately when Mr. Miller died?
It was March 30th of 2020.
Did you turn the overhead on?
So
Were
she's
you two
blamed for that as well?
partners in a company, or did you just work together?
Well, it was he had his company and I had my company, and we just kind of joined forces to work together.
Okay, but both of you were working essentially full time for the Cochrans?
Yes.
On
who's he working out when
February
he leaves
6th
the
of
car?
2019, do you recall receiving a text from the defendant at about 12:20 or so?
I do.
Where were you when you received the text?
We had just left Lowe's. We had gotten some paint and supplies. We was working on a airplane hangar.
When you say we,
Me and Jonathan.
you and Jonathan Miller? Thank you. Yeah, that doesn't show up very well, does it? Let me just hand this to you.
Okay.
Hand you what's been marked as States 1 and ask you to take a look at the first text.
Mm-hmm. I recall this.
You do. And you received that while you were still at Lowe's with Mr. Miller?
We was actually in the truck leaving Lowe's.
What time did that text come in?
A little bit before 12.
Actually, if it shows right there as 12:21, unfortunately, it's uniform time, so you have to adjust
Yes.
by 5 hours.
Yes.
Okay. And when you got that text, what did it ask you to do?
She was asking to come to the house that Mike had gotten sick and was laying in the kitchen floor.
And she being the defendant?
Natalie, yes.
Okay. What did you do in response to that text?
We told her we was on our way and started head straight there.
Do you know, and did you do that?
We did.
What time did you get to the Cochran house?
12:30, 12:35, maybe 12:40.
And when you got there, had she instructed you what to do when you got there?
She did. She told us they was in the kitchen. Just come on in.
Did you do that?
We did. We knocked, opened the door, and said hello. And she answered and said, "We're in here."
Had you been in the Cochran house before?
Many times.
So you knew where the kitchen was?
Yes,
Did you go into the kitchen?
we did.
And when you got in the kitchen, what did you see?
Mike was laying on the floor in a curled up position.
Now, you didn't get a picture of Michael, but the defendant sent it to a number of people. Is that what you saw when you got to the kitchen?
It was.
What did she tell you happened?
Didn't she send that picture around 10 a.m. to the other people?
Something like that.
Yeah. That's yeah.
To him.
She said he had gotten sick at the sink and just kind of lowered himself down into the floor using a cabinet. And that's where he kind of ended up.
Yeah, I think
Had
so.
he hit his head or anything?
Not that I know of.
What was it? Just the three of you plus Michael at the time? You, the defendant, and Mr. Miller in the house?
Yes.
And what did you do?
She asked us to move him to the couch. So me and Jonathan got him kind of laid back where we could carry him safely. And then we carried him to the couch.
Did you talk to Mr. Cochran?
We was trying to talk to him several times, saying his name, Mike. Can you hear us? There was several times we tried to talk to him. Yes.
Did you get a response from Mr. Cochran?
No.
From your assessment,
We have no medical information. Allegedly, he was on medication prior because of brain swelling. So I need a doctor. And I really don't care about all this circumstantial evidence. I want a doctor to tell me what was his previous medical history.
I agree. All these people mean nothing at this point.
It's so much. Well, I heard, I saw, I did. No, give me. I want to know, did she have the big C so she could have a reason to use the insulin? Did he have seizures, a history of seizures and brain swelling? I really think that's the most important information I need right now, because the rest it's snippets from different people.
of what was going on, did you think just carrying him to the couch was sufficient?
Once we got him to the couch, we felt like he needed checked.
And by that, what do you mean?
He was not responsive. Jonathan actually did a sternum rub on him once we got to the couch, and he kind of responded. He groaned, but he did not. A sternum rub, you're going to come up out of that, and if you're lucid.
Objection, medical.
Did you ever hear Mr. Cochran on that day, February the 6th, 2019? Did he converse at all with anybody in your presence?
No.
Did he arouse at all and seem awake?
No.
How long were you at the Cochran house after you moved, Michael?
Maybe 20 minutes.
Did anybody else appear during that time?
Trooper Hamilton had came probably 5 minutes after we got there. He came through the front door.
Had you already?
That's the thing. If I'm covering up a crime, I'm not calling a cop to my house.
Or a doctor,
That's one of the,
or like all these people.
yeah. I would just leave him at the floor and say, I was upstairs in bed and I was sick as a dog, and I thought he went to work because he said, I'm feeling better, honey, I'm going to work, or something like that. But again, we have seen stupid people make stupid excuses before. So give me some medical hard facts.
Moved Mr. Cochran to the couch from the kitchen by that time?
We had.
If I could have that one back, please. Mr. Bowen, was that the end of your communication with the defendant that day?
No, no, we had texted a few times back and forth trying to find out how he was.
And what were the reports in response to your questions?
That he was sleeping it off, or that no change.
And he never woke up while you were there?
No.
State move states 8 into evidence, please.
What is it?
States 8.
Are you moving for its admission?
We are.
Any objection, Mr. Victor?
No, Your Honor.
states exhibit number 8 will be admitted into evidence. That concludes the questioning of this witness on behalf of the state.
I did have one more. Did the defendant tell you her understanding of what Michael Cochran's plans were that day?
No, we was not in any kind of plans for that day.
Not after he was sick. I mean, what was his intention before he collapsed?
They had mentioned that they was going to Virginia.
Do you recall?
And again, this cancellation of a meeting with a bank is what the whole case seems to, that's the hard to prove. She claims both of them had the flu. That's the excuse they used at the bank as well.
Well, it seems like they really want to push that, oh, she offed him before they could get to the bank, because at the bank, everything was going to come crashing down.
Yeah, and again, I'm just,
I don't know.
is it strong enough for you to condemn her to life in prison that she called off a meeting?
No,
Let's get some
because
harder facts on the
want them-
table.
I want the toxicology stuff.
Yeah.
Recall being interviewed by Trooper Bledsoe?
I do.
Do you remember telling him that you thought that she said Mike was going to hang out with you and Jonathan at the hangar?
I do.
Okay. So was he going to hang out at the hangar with you or go to Virginia?
I don't know.
Okay. That's all the questions the state has. Thank you.
All right.
Sorry.
I do.
Okay. Do you remember telling him that you thought that she said Mike was going to hang out with you and Jonathan at the hangar?
I do.
Okay. So was he going to hang out at the hangar with you or go to Virginia?
I don't know.
Okay.
But you just testified they were going to Virginia.
But then she said something, she told somebody something different. I don't know.
He told someone something different in another interview, that she had said that Jonathan was going to hang out with them at the hangar. But he just testified he knew they were going to Virginia. Again, that wasn't a good question to end with, because it
Yeah.
kind of, I want to know, did he invest money as well, if we're going to use the money angle?
That's all the questions the
No
state
one has
has.
said
Thank
that
you.
so far.
All right. Cross-examination, Mr. Victor.
Hi, Christine.
Hey, Christine.
Mr. Bond, is it true?
Oh, it's Christine's birthday today. Happy birthday, Christine.
Happy
And,
birthday.
Hope you get all the cake you like. You get either a vanilla bourbon cake or the superior chocolate cake with strawberries on top. Happy birthday,
Oh.
Christine.
Wow.
That on February the 6th, early in the morning, you received the message from Michael that he wasn't feeling good and he would not be working on a hangar with you.
I do not recall.
You don't recall?
I don't recall. I can't remember.
You and Mr. Miller were actually working on a hangar,
Mhm.
right?
We was.
And as you sit here today, you do not remember that message from Mr. Cochran,
I do not.
okay?
If you have a printout of the messages or something, I might be able to remember the conversation. But as we stand here, no,
You don't recall.
I do not.
You
I would
spent
like
some
that
time
message just to make
with
sure.
Mr. Cochran while working on various projects.
Mhm.
Would that be a yes?
You would? Yes.
And do you remember going with Mr. Cochran to Lowe's to purchase some products or something for one of his construction?
Any specific time that he would go with us several times to Lowe's.
Well, let's say about a week prior to February the 6th. Well, let me strike that.
Like I said, there's many times that we've been there.
All right. Do you remember the time when you were in Lowe's and Mr. Cochran was not sure who drove the vehicle to Lowe's?
No, that is not that time.
Okay, what time was that?
You're speaking of a time when we was working on the airplane hangar. We had breakfast that morning.
Okay, what months could that be?
That would have been February.
In February. He was so confused that he didn't even remember driving his own car.
He remembered driving his truck. He just didn't remember where he parked.
He wasn't confused about who drove the truck?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. He told you on several occasions that he felt sick.
Mm-hmm.
How was he sick? What did he tell you?
It was after we got finished working on a house that he had gotten into some black mold. He would just complain about dizziness and stuff.
Did he complain about dizziness and lightheadedness in January of 2019?
I don't recall.
Did he complain about feeling sick in February, at the beginning of February of 2019?
I don't recall February. I would say more in December.
More in December. Well, he told you he had a seizure in, I would imagine, December or January, December of 2018 or January 2019, didn't he?
I don't recall him
You don't
telling me
recall.
about seizure. No.
Okay. And he told you at the beginning of February, didn't he, that he felt another one coming? Didn't he?
No.
Now you're denying that? Okay.
These questions, you have to show where you get this from.
Yeah, that's what's tough.
Yeah, he's implying a lot of, well, you knew all of this and you know all of this and he told you all of that. But if it's just her telling you that, we need some text messages, we need an email, we need a police interview where he have said it, or else I don't feel it sticks as well.
No.
She does have a young Sigourney Weaver look. All the cool people did.
What did he complain of, sir, when he was telling you that he didn't feel good?
He would complain about just not feeling right, just feeling dizzy.
Yeah, he's trying to make him feel fishy, but I at this point I've been praising him the other 2 days. Today I would like to see him impeach him with prior testimony, because he's saying, well, didn't you get a text? I don't remember. Then show the text, or else it's just he said, she said, and I kind of I want some evidence.
Feeling right how?
Felt like he said he felt like he'd been poisoned.
He felt like he was poisoned. All right.
Oh my God. And that's the problem, is like, you don't know if these
Did you
people are all
witness
like hate her so much that they're
Mr.
saying
Cochran's
the stuff just to say it. I don't know.
illness in November of 2018?
I was with him in the hospital.
Okay. He lost consciousness, right?
He never lost consciousness. I think they sedated him while he was in the hospital.
He felt lightheaded. Right? He had a seizure, perhaps.
I don't know.
Okay. You don't really know the exact problems that Mr. Cochran had that landed him in a hospital in November of 2018, do you?
No.
And he complained to you about the same symptoms in December and January, or December 2018 and January 2019, that he had when he went to the hospital in October or November of 2018, didn't he?
I wouldn't say it was the same symptoms. No.
No? Yeah. You went to the Cochran's home on numerous occasions, you testified.
I did.
The bedroom in the Cochran's home was upstairs, correct?
All the bedrooms was.
Okay. And the kitchen was downstairs. And it was not directly, well, and the steps.
Yeah. Again, also because there was a highly politicized undertone around that case, and I think you can very well be right, Brandon, that for a seasoned trial watcher, there's a lot of reasonable doubt, but you have to sell it, and I'm not sure he's selling it if he doesn't show the evidence that backs up his claims.
Hmm. But like to say he thought he was being poisoned, like, but how though? Like,
Yeah.
is she putting, I mean, do we know? I don't know.
Yeah, or
Now
is
it's
it the
like-
black
'cause then
mold
it's like-
that?
Yeah. But then it's like, okay, if that's what he thought before, then if she's gonna just walk up to him and inject him with some insulin, then he's gonna freak out. Like now we're getting into that stage of like, okay, that doesn't really make sense to me because,
Yeah.
you know, like then there, because I don't, unless a doctor can tell me, I don't see how you inject somebody with insulin and they just instantly keel over. So
From
I don't know.
upstairs to downstairs
Mm-hmm.
were not exactly leading straight to the kitchen. The kitchen was still some
Yeah.
rooms away from the stairs.
But he still needs to ask him, have you ever rubbed your upper body in body oil? Could you try to do it on the stand now?
Right?
Correct.
So if somebody well, let me strike that. Michael was a pretty big guy, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
How much did he weigh, to your estimation?
Probably 200 pounds.
200 pounds. And so if he was injected with some poison in bed upstairs, a singular person such as Natalie Cochran would have to drag him downstairs all the way to the stairs, then downstairs, and then through the whole house into the kitchen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you consider that possible?
Assuming that's what happened.
Assuming that's what happened. There was nobody else in the house when you arrived, correct?
Correct.
With Mr. Miller, right?
200 pounds is really not that big. Just saying.
And so the only person who
Like for a guy.
would have injected him in the bed and upstairs and who would drag him downstairs
Mm-hmm.
would have been Natalie Cochran, right?
Right, this is pretty speculative.
Yeah, I think it is. Is that an
All of this is pure objection, or pure speculation.
Yeah.
Who, if any, have suggested he was stuck, poisoned upstairs and drugged down? I like that he's not yelling over the witness, but now he's just going straight into, yeah, it's Friday. I'm gonna swing at everything that comes across the plate. Another baseball metaphor, Jamie. I've been studying.
You've been studying. Good for you.
Yeah.
objection,
Okay.
Mr. Truman?
It is, I'm
All right.
sorry.
I think I'll sustain the objection. And Mr. Bowen, if you could say yes or no, that would be very helpful.
Okay.
I'm having a little difficulty understanding your responses.
I apologize, Your Honor.
No problem.
Mr.
Go
Bowen,
ahead.
when you were, I'm sorry, Your Honor. Mr. Bowen, when you were in the Cochran's house on February the 6th,
Yes,
did you observe my client, Natalie Cochran, checking Mr. Cochran's blood sugar?
I did.
She did that, didn't she? All right. You knew Mr. Cochran as let's say bodybuilder, an athlete, right?
He was definitely an athlete. Yes.
Yes.
And didn't the other guy say he was more of a Spartan guy and a strongman guy? There's nothing
Yeah.
further from a bodybuilder than a strongman. One of them eats nothing and does everything to be as lean as possible while bulking up. The other one just eat whatever he needs because he needs all the power and all the calories. Those 185 pounds can be very different if it's a bodybuilder or it's a strongman.
Mm-hmm.
I know he likes his bodybuilders like from Austria, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I have his poster above my bed.
He
But it
really
also
cared about
doesn't
his-
tell you anything, because just because you're a bodybuilder and you're in good shape, it doesn't mean your insides are.
No, most bodybuilders are really bad inside because they are on a shit ton of drugs.
Mm-hmm.
His
physique,
Mhm.
his health, his body.
Yes.
But he cared about his health in terms of his
6'2"?
outward appearance.
No,
right?
5'8".
Is he 5'8"?
He liked he liked feeling healthy.
He was what? I'm
He
sorry.
liked feeling healthy.
Feeling healthy. And would you say that he was very happy when he was physically fit?
I would.
So in pursuit of that fitness, sir, would you agree with me that he was taking a lot of pills that were going to increase his appearance? Right?
I don't know about that. I know he took supplements. There's many kinds of supplements.
All kinds of supplements, right?
Yes.
To increase his vitality, to increase his physicality.
Yes.
Arnold was a pretty strong guy. He had a 238 kilogram bench, 322 kilogram deadlift, I think, and his maximum squat was 276. So he was pretty strong.
Yeah, and if he's only
How
5'8",
many-
200 is pretty. I mean, that's pretty solid.
It depends again if you're a strongman or you're a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Because a strongman will carry a lot of. Like me. I'm pretty strong, but I'm fat. So I will just. I'm as fat as I'm wide.
How many of the
Fat
do you
people
know
can be
what those
pretty
supplements
strong.
were?
I do not.
Well, how many of them did he take?
I don't know.
Well, you were in their home frequently. Did you witness Mr. Cochran taking as many as 30 and 35 pills at a time?
I did not.
You did not? What did you witness?
I never witnessed him taking any supplements.
Okay. So how do you know that he
I'm
was
sorry for
taking
your son.
supplements? He told you?
He told me.
All right.
But good for him.
Did you also know that he was injecting medicine into his body?
I did not.
Okay. Did he ever tell you
We need to see those roids now. We've heard so much about him. I want a receipt for roids.
that?
No.
Right.
Yeah, the insulin HGH bellies.
Mm-hmm.
What did Michael Cochran do for a living?
He ran data cable, AV cable. It was his profession.
Okay. Well, did he have two businesses that he ran? TSM, or TSG, whatever.
Yes, TSM. He ran with
I learned
Natalie.
a little bit of drugs.
Did he ever talk to you about the government contracts?
He
What did he
did.
say? What did he say
Uh,
he did for those government contracts?
I think they didn't start looking at her as a suspect till 4 months later or 4 weeks later. So again, they can exhume the body, but insulin, you'll have to look at the glucose level because you can't. I don't think you can tell the insulin in the body. You will have to look at the glucose.
He said he would research the government contracts online and send them to Natalie, and she would work on it and put a bid in.
He would research them, right?
He would find the contract, the specific listings for what they was doing.
Did you know that he suffered from brain swelling?
I was told yes,
Who told you that?
Natalie.
Did you? Were you curious after he came out of the hospital in November of 2019 what they told him about his health?
Yeah, I was curious. We was told that it was exposure to black mold.
It was just the exposure to black mold. Nobody mentioned anything about seizures. Nobody mentioned anything about enlarged heart. Nobody mentioned anything about brain swelling.
No.
Nobody. And who would that be? The doctors?
Natalie's who we got all of our information from.
Natalie. And did you inquire of Mr. Cochran himself? Buddy, what's wrong with you? What was wrong with you? What did the doctor say? Did you ever inquire?
We would ask him how he's feeling today or something like that, but he never told us any kind of diagnosis or anything like that. We never really talked about it. Once we was in the hospitals, when we got the information, we would just see how he's feeling day to day.
Well, he went to the hospital on October 31st and came out of the hospital, right?
Yes.
And he knew you guys worked together. You were almost buddies, right?
We was buddies, yes.
We was buddies. All right. Didn't you ask him, well, hey, Bud, what did they say was wrong with you?
No.
No. But then he was in the hospital 2 days later with all these horrible symptoms and stayed in the hospital this time for 5 days. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. For 5 days.
Correct.
And you were there with him.
I was.
And then he comes out of the hospital and you do not bother to ask him, buddy, what did the doctor say? What was it?
It was always black mold exposure.
If I may have a second.
Certainly.
That's all I have of this witness, Your Honor. Thank you.
Very well. Redirect Mr. Truman.
State has one redirect question. In response to defense counsel's question, you said that the defendant took the vital signs of Mr. Cochran.
That's correct.
Mischaracterized my question.
I think it is perhaps, but you could ask the question straight out, Mr. Truman.
Okay. While you were there, did the defendant take vital signs of Mr. Cochran?
She did.
Now, did you participate in any of that?
I did not.
Did you actually see the raw data?
I did not.
Did she tell you what the results of her taking those vital signs were?
She would say what it was, but I don't remember those numbers.
That's all the questions the state has, Your Honor. Thank you.
Any further questions, Mr. Victor?
Were you there when the physician assistant arrived?
No, I was told to leave while she was on her way.
Okay. So you don't know whether any other person took any vital signs or temperature, vital signs, sugar level of Mr. Cochran.
No, Natalie's the only one I've seen.
All right. That's all. Thank you.
And for those who said, I don't know the difference between a bodybuilder, this is Arnold back in his day with Chuck Palumbo. this is probably the golden age of bodybuilding, where before they became mass monsters as they are today. This is Harthorpe Bjornsson. He's a strongman. He's a pretty cut strongman. He is roughly the same height as Shaq. He played the Mountain in Game of Thrones. He has the unofficial deadlift record because it wasn't set during a controlled competition. It was set at his home gym, so I still count Eddie Hall as the one who has the real heaviest. But Eddie Hall has an official 500 kilo deadlift. Thor has a 501. But he's a cut strongman. As you can see, there's clearly a difference in the diet these people take. They probably are on roughly the same kinds of supplements. The supplements that you take. But one of them have to cut and get as big muscles as possible. The other one has to have as big and strong muscles as possible. You will most likely never see a strongman do more than 3 reps because it's a waste of energy. He'll just do it heavier. And you'll see a bodybuilder do 15 to 20 reps on each exercise, to most of them to failure, because they need to pump it up. Today's Men in Very Little Clothes by Baker.
Anything, Mr. Truman?
We know that the defendant had a working phone because she was able to text you and you text back, correct?
Correct.
In your presence, did she ever call
He
911?
beat Eddie Hall,
No.
but not officially.
Overruled. Go ahead.
Did she?
No.
Were you and Jonathan Miller capable of loading Mr. Cochran into a car and taking him to the hospital?
Very much so.
Fine,
yes.
sure.
Did she ever suggest you do that?
No, we actually asked her if she wanted us to.
What was her response?
No.
That's all the state has.
Well, then, in that regard, did you know from talking to Michael or anybody else?
The weights were was measured by his father, so I don't. It doesn't count.
For that matter, that Mr. Cochran refused to go to the hospital. And for that matter, that he would say that he will never again go to the hospital after his October and November 2018 experience.
He said he would never go back to Raleigh General Hospital.
Okay. He didn't like the hospitals, did he?
Who does?
Who does? So just because he was there at home doesn't necessarily mean that he wanted to be taken to the hospital immediately, does it? Especially that he didn't like going back to the hospital. Fair enough?
I don't know. I wasn't able to ask him.
Right. Okay. That's all.
Anything further?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
Any reason to hold this witness excused?
Stevens?
All here. Okay.
Stevens, I need to confer with my colleague for just a moment.
Okay. Are you asking for a break, or can you do it while we're all here?
Just a couple minutes.
Okay.
That's all, Your Honor.
All right. To tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
You may have a seat. All right, Mr. Truman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tell us your name, please.
My name is Joseph Stevens, and my last name is spelled Stephen's.
And are you employed?
Yes, I currently work at the FBI laboratory in Quantico, Virginia, FBI being the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
I don't really
You have
have
a job
that,
title?
to
I
knock-
do. I'm a chemist, forensic examiner at the lab there in the chemistry
Oh,
unit.
and
And
finally, forensic.
what's your primary
examiner.
duties as a chemist for the FBI?
My primary duties are to receive evidence from contributors. Those contributors can be state, local, or federal partners. Receive that evidence through our evidence management unit, and that's passed up to the individual units such as myself.
Your Honor, I hate to interrupt, but could Mr. Stevens slow down just a little bit? I'm having a little trouble following his testimony.
All right. Perhaps you can scoot up a little bit towards the microphone and slow down just a little bit, Mr. Stevens.
Yeah, we
Thank
speed
you.
it up because we don't need
Go
to
ahead,
know.
Mr.
Go
We
ahead,
know
Mr.
what a forensic expert.
So we receive evidence from our evidence management unit.
Yes.
It comes up to our chemistry unit where it's assigned to an examiner, such as myself. I then intake that evidence, check it in, determine what kind of evidence I have, what kind of analyses I need to do. And then I process that evidence and I issue a report. This will be a forensic report or a laboratory report. And then as needed, I testify to those observations and findings I made.
How long have you worked for the FBI?
I started working at the FBI in April of 2016, so I've been there for a little more than 8 years.
And you started as a forensic chemist, and that's what you do now?
That is correct.
And, what kind of experience did you have before you went to work for the FBI as a forensic chemist?
Before the FBI, I worked at the United States Secret Service in Washington, D.C. They have a forensic document laboratory. There I performed instrumental analysis on inks, papers, and toners. And I did that for about 10 years. I started there in December of 2005 through April of 2016.
Would you please share with us your education?
We have no knowledge other than on the death certificate, it's listed as brain swelling. Brain swelling that made an impact in his breathing and his heart. So his death certificate says brain swelling. So we will need to find a post-mortem investigation to him. But again, she wasn't indicted. They didn't think there was anything nefarious to begin with.
No background.
I earned a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from Roanoke College in Virginia. After that, I attended Texas A&M University in College Station, Texas. I did not earn a degree from that, but I transferred to George Washington University, where I earned a Master of Science in Forensic Science in 2007.
Did you receive any specialized training in
But
forensic?
probably a bit.
Yes, so as part of my training at the United States Secret Service, I completed a 2-year training program there. And upon my arrival at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, I completed another 2-year training program there as well.
In this particular case, do you have any specialized training that would qualify you to determine an analysis that would result in a finding of insulin?
Yes, so as part of our 2-year training program at the FBI, I conducted practicals, which I work with insulin, putting it on my instrumentation and analyzing it. And then I'm eventually given what's known as a competency test to ensure that I know how to perform the analysis. And I successfully completed that competency test. And then there's also other components of that training, such as oral boards, where a panel of my peers evaluate my knowledge on topics.
Your Honor, at this point, the state, subject to defense inquiry, moves that the witness be treated under 702 as an expert.
Do you wish to engage in voir dire, Mr. Selden?
No, Your Honor.
Is there any objection to the state's request?
No, Your Honor.
This witness will be regarded as an expert in his described field.
He's a buff guy as well. Finally, some evidence.
I missed it. Who is this guy?
9 and 10, please.
He's the glowy who I think made the examinations after he was exhumed, because he
Okay.
has special knowledge in detective insulin.
Okay.
So he's the glowy.
Thank you.
Let's start with 9. Move it on there. Thanks. That is a box.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Stephen, I hand you what's been marked at this point is for identification as States 9, and feel free to open the envelope and review it. You familiar with that?
Yes, I am.
Before we get to that point, how is it that States 9 came into your possession?
This case came in through our Pittsburgh field office, which is the field office responsible for this area. So it came in as a case submission through Pittsburgh.
And what were you asked to examine? Not only this, but the rest of the documents, the items we're going to review with you. What were you asked to examine them for?
I was submitted 4 items. One of them was a box, and 3 of them were vials containing unknown substances or unknown liquids. I was asked to analyze the unknown liquids within those vials.
And there's another item in that package, correct?
Yes, there is.
You got 10. Skip it 10.
So he didn't test the body; he tested the vials only.
Okay.
So he's just here to testify what was found at the crime scene, apparently, or the alleged crime scene.
Hmm.
I'll just put it on that package. All right. I'll bring it back to you. If you could put, probably the easiest way to do it how do you want to handle the bottle? You can put it right on it if you want. Okay. Yeah, that's anywhere. Bottom's on, that's good.
No gloves, just free handling the evidence. No problem.
Anyway, what's been marked for identification is states 10. You identify that, sir?
The item states exhibit number 10 is a
Exactly. I want if they just say, well, it proves she did it because she has insulin. I want the defense to bring in a doctor that said, well, she had the big C, so she took insulin because the chemo ruins your blood count. Then what do you do with the insulin? That's right now we have a lot of loose accusations that because of this you must believe that, but nothing is really substantive enough for me to believe either side. And if I don't believe either side, I am at reasonable doubt.
a vial of methylprednisolone
Yep.
acetate that I received in the lab.
Let's go ahead and get all the exhibits in front of you.
Yeah.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to that answer in that we have not established what was in the vial. The only thing that can be testified to at this junction is that it is a vial with a label marked methylprednisolone acetate.
Seriously? That's your objection.
I think that's where
That's not what you say, Mr. Prosecutor. Serious? That's your take? You just put on the label on the vial because it wasn't on the vial. So you have to have him testify, yes, I searched it and I can prove. It's not Canton where you can just say, well, the crime lab told me so.
And what did they say it was?
Prednisone.
That's a
Pred-
steroid.
Let's
It's
go
not
back.
insulin.
Is that it is a vial with a label marked methylprednisolone acetate.
Seriously?
Methylprednisone.
Yeah, that's a
That's
steroid because prednisone is a steroid. Methylprednisolone is a different kind, but it's the same. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, you have to prove that's what it's in the bottle. I can put everything on a label. When Jamie is bringing me my blue male pills, she's always also going to put it in a Tic Tac bottle. It's not Tic Tac.
That's your objection.
I think that's where we are in the
Yeah, it's a
process.
steroid
And
medication.
hopefully we'll find out more. I'm going to overrule the objection.
And this marked as 11, please.
It's not an anabolic. Okay. I don't do enough roids.
No, not
as you
it's
can
not
see.
that.
Very well.
It's just like a
Like for
Approach
asthma or
witness,
something
Yes,
like
ma'am.
that.
an actual medical steroid.
Isn't it the one that all the bike riders and swimmers use because it opens up your chest so you can
I mean,
absorb more oxygen? I think that's what the one. I think
treats
that's
arthritis, blood disorders, severe allergic reactions, certain cancers, eye conditions, skin cancer, intestinal, lung diseases, and immune system disorders.
so that could be for her if she had the big C.
It's possible.
Anyway, what's been marked for identification is states 11. Guys could identify that.
No, all the big swimmers, Michael Phelps, and all the big like Jonas Vingegaard and those, they all have asthma and need prednisone for that. Funny how endurance athletes all get asthma.
If you happen to have a pair of scissors, this is
Oh,
still sealed.
this is the one with scissors. Okay. Don't run with those. Thank you.
Oh, I've had this. We just
Can you
call it
identify
something
that?
different in Danish.
This is a vial of
I used to
dried
get them
material
in my
now
bag.
that was labeled in the lab as item 2-1, but it states exhibit number 11 that I generated as a result of my analysis.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand any of that. What was that vial?
Except you didn't want him to answer that.
I don't think we've gotten to that point yet. I'm going to
His
overrule the
identification,
objection.
I couldn't understand what he was classifying that as. I'm just asking him to repeat it a little slower if possible.
So this item was the liquid contents removed by me from state's exhibit number 10.
If I could have this marked as states 12, please.
Very well.
Of course I will.
Yeah, but a lot of very, very famous swimmers all of a sudden got asthma when they started to be really competitive. It's just
Yeah,
a
approach the witness,
coincidence.
please.
Yes, you
Don't
may.
think about it. It helps
Thank you.
your airwaves absorb oxygen and make
you.
you
Anyway, what's
better.
been marked for identification as states 12. Ask you to take a look at that.
Hey, Debbie player.
Debbie.
Brandon is on his computer.
Oh no. Watch out.
This is a bottle of that's labeled as enclomiphene citrate that I received in the lab.
Put it back in the bag.
Clomiphene citrate. That's an ovulation increaser. What the hell? It's to treat infertility.
I don't know if I could have states exhibit 13 marked.
When you look it up
Okay.
too, it looks like it could be some type clonopine citrate for men. Looks like it's a testosterone too.
Oh, then I must have gotten the name wrong because I'm looking at clomiphene citrate.
Yeah,
it says-
it comes up for two different types, and then there's
Oh,
this one shows it treat male hypogondism or low testosterone. I wish they'd explain this more. And plus,
yeah,
trying
maybe
to
he'll
spell
get
these
into it after.
words are
They-
terrible.
I think they're just identifying it now, and then they'll talk about what it is.
Yeah.
It's a non-steroidal fertility medicine if it's the clomiphene. It causes the pituitary gland to release hormone needed to stimulate ovulation. If ovulation, that thing women do.
Mhm.
If it's yeah, all the things you learn on this channel.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And clomiphene citrate is a selective estrogen receptor modulator that is used to treat male low testosterone.
Yeah, that's because if you inject estrogen, your T levels will spike. That's
Yeah.
why bodybuilders get tits, because when you raise your T levels, your estrogen will spike.
So interesting.
Stephen, handy what's been marked for identification as states 13 and ask you to take a look at that, please.
Yeah.
Recognize that?
Yes, this
The
is
Danish
liquid that I
Bjarne
removed
Riis
from state's
had
exhibit
what
12.
they said was as thick as Nutella because of EPO. Sorry, birthing people. Of course, John Gary. Sorry.
Oops. I could have this 14, please.
Number 14, Your Honor.
Very well.
She's
if I
36
could
years old,
approach the
probably
witness,
not for
Yes.
menopause.
Handy what's been marked for identification as states 14.
Supplements on a budget with Jamie and Baker.
Yeah. Right.
Get medicated on a median income.
It's a little sticker. Like this, okay.
I'm going to get one of the big gulps when I'm driving in the US.
Big gulp.
Yeah, because it's hard
Big
peeing in
gulp
the
of
bottle.
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, Dr. Pepper Light. I like that.
And you have, I believe, with you number 15.
Well, I think she's her
Right,
early
but
40s
it's
now.
Also got 15. You need a separate.
15 needs to be marked. Is that right, Mr. Truman?
It does, Your Honor. Thank you.
Very well.
Well, what is it?
Your Honor, hand this to the witness if that's acceptable.
Yes.
Thank you. And what's been marked for identification is states 50. Recognize that.
Yes, that's the liquid contents I removed from States Exhibit 14.
Oh my God.
Sometimes I'm glad we talk so much so we can just speed it
Explain
up.
to us the procedure that when you received this, what did you do with these items?
The first thing I did is administrative. It's called check-in, where I analyzed, where I visually inspect these and see what kind of things I received. So the first thing I noticed was the box, which is States Exhibit 9. The next thing was the first vial that I came across, States Exhibit 10. And the contents of that, which have been labeled as States Exhibit 11. We got another vial, States Exhibit 12. The contents of that vial, States Exhibit 13. And a third vial, and its liquid contents. So I had 3 vials, and then of those 3 liquids that were generated. I just took inventory of what I had, what the bottles were labeled as, what markings they might have had on them, what lot information they had. If they had a manufacturer, what was that manufacturer? So that visual examination was first.
I think I failed to ask you to identify 14.
States Exhibit 14 is a vial that's labeled as Humalog Insulin List Pro. 10 milliliters, 100 units per milliliter.
In summary fashion, tell us what you did to perform your analysis.
So each of these items goes through a standard operating procedure or a technical procedure where we analyze them. We use scientific instruments to analyze them. We compare them to references where practical, and then we determine the results of those analyses.
Take a look at 10, please. What was your analysis of that?
So for States Exhibit 10, I determined that States Exhibit 10, the vial labeled methylprednisolone acetate, and the liquid that came out of it, States Exhibit 11, is the one I actually tested.
Explain that to us, please.
So States Exhibit 10 is the physical vial. States Exhibit 11 was the liquid recovered from that vial, the liquid that came out of this vial. So my analysis was on the liquid.
Okay. Now the States 11, that was lab material. You have a inventory of bottles that you use for your analysis. Is that what that is?
We have libraries and reference materials that we use, yes.
Okay, but the actual container itself, I mean, did that come with the information that came to you, or was that just some kind of testing process that you used?
I'm not sure I understand.
Well, as I understood what your testimony,
No medical history has been given to us other than what they claim he's on. So again, we don't know anything other than what everyone claims everyone. These are the first medical facts. That's why this guy's interesting. Thank you, Pokemon, for becoming a member. Was this guy on all this for just funsies? We don't know if he was on it. That's the thing. We haven't really heard anything yet, and I want to know what's in his body.
was you analyzed the contents of number 10 by putting it into 11.
I didn't analyze the contents of 10, the vial. I transferred those contents to States Exhibit 11.
That's
Yeah. These drugs are just what they found at the house. We haven't heard where they found it. There's no chain of custody on these bottles. That was just what was given to him. So probably we'll have a lead investigator come in at the end.
And then I analyzed States Exhibit 11.
That's we're on the same page now, I think. Go ahead and explain what you did.
So visual examination on 10, what were the labels and markings on the bottle? Then chemical analysis on the liquid that was within this bottle.
And again, in summary fashion, what did you do to analyze States 11?
States Exhibit 11 was subjected to 3 different other kinds of testing. They're all scientific instrumentation. One of them is known as Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy. The next one, gas chromatography, mass spectrometry. And the final one, we call DART-TOF-MS, which stands for Direct Analysis in Real Time, Time of Flight Mass Spectrometry. All of these are very expensive, complicated instruments. Their primary goal is to determine the chemical composition of the materials within a liquid or a solid.
What's the number of that one? What's the number of that one?
Oh. 10, 11, 12.
Okay. Go ahead and talk about 12,
Yes.
please. What was number 12?
12 was a vial labeled enclomiphene citrate, 30 milliliters. And on that vial, it says for research purposes only, not for human consumption. That was the vial. This vial generated States Exhibit 13, which is the liquid that came out of that vial.
And so you actually performed your examination on states 13, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And tell us again in summary fashion, what did you do with states 13?
States Exhibit 13 was subjected to the same analytical scheme as States Exhibit 11, Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy, or FTIR, gas chromatography, mass spectrometry, DCMS, and DART-TOF-MS, direct analysis in real time, time of flight, mass spectrometry.
And this one's 14? And 14, what did you do with states 14 when you received it?
So visually examined it, determined that it was labeled insulin, Lispro, and Humalog, and then separated the contents into a new vial, States Exhibit 15, the liquid, and analyzed the liquid.
And that's the analysis you conducted on state 15.
That is correct.
Was your analysis such that you could conclude what was contained in those bottles that you received?
Yes.
And what conclusions did you reach?
For the vial that was labeled methylprednisolone acetate and the liquid that was tested, States Exhibit 11, is my determination that that States Exhibit 11 was consistent with containing methylprednisolone acetate. In other words, the chemical that is on the vial, it was consistent with containing a chemical label on the vial.
And I forgot the number, but the next one you analyzed.
States Exhibit 12, the bottle labeled enclomiphene citrate, was my conclusion that the liquid that came out of that, States Exhibit 13, was consistent with containing glycerol and letrozole. I'll remind you that the bottle was labeled enclomiphene citrate, so it was not what was labeled on the bottle.
The stuff according to the label was not the stuff you found.
That is correct.
And last, the next exhibit.
This was States Exhibit 14, the vial
Okay,
labeled
what happened?
Humalog
Sorry.
insulin Lispro, is my conclusion that it is consistent with containing human insulin or Humalog.
From the information provided, you took a number of photographs of the items that you've been reviewing with the jury today, correct?
Yes.
Can I have that smart, please?
Number 16 on it.
Okay.
So they found what was in the bottle was the same as on the label,
Oops, excuse me,
right?
ran out of arm.
I thought he said what was on the label wasn't in the bottle. That's why I was confused.
Yeah, there was insulin. That's the Humalog is insulin. The one wasn't. Interesting. I didn't catch that one because I was getting my creatine because people said you can get mood altering from creatine. You can't. Creatine is a natural product you have in your body and it doesn't give you mood swings. Back in the day, it was believed that you retained water in such a degree that you shouldn't use it because you will swell up. But it's actually been
States
proven
Exhibit
good for your
16
brain
for
functions
identification.
because it keeps water in your brain.
You took that photograph?
Yes, I did.
What are we looking at? Go on, thank you.
These are photographs that I took of the States Exhibit 9 as received in the laboratory.
I can't remember how to tie a tie, so all my ties are pre-tied.
And that's a box.
That is correct.
And what's that?
That is another picture of States Exhibit 9.
You also took that photograph?
I did.
And what is that depicting?
This is States Exhibit 10 as received, which at the time contained States Exhibit 11, the liquid.
The next photograph you took, what's the significance of the plastic cover?
This plastic cover is used as a tamper-evident control so that when the septum that would be expected to be underneath there, and in this case there's a septum, a rubber material within the center, couldn't be inadvertently punctured.
Had there been any tampering of the exhibit by the time that you received it?
When I visually inspected it and tried to remove that, the force that I was using, which I described as a moderate force, was insufficient to remove that, implying to me that it was probably intact.
So it wasn't even opened?
And the
Or-
next photograph.
Which one was that?
These are
That
pictures that I
wasn't
took of States Exhibit
That's the second one.
12, that implying to me that it was probably in the center, couldn't be inadvertently punctured.
Had there been any tampering of the exhibit by the time that you received it?
When I visually inspected it and tried to remove that, the force that I was using, which I described
So vial 1 was the prednisone. Vial 2 was labeled as the citrate thing and was actually literal and letrozole. And
Letrozole? Let-
literal and letrozole, that's what Jess writes.
So letrozole, which is just, if it's letrozole, that's a type of cancer medication.
And the last one was Humalog insulin.
as a moderate force was insufficient to remove that, implying to me that it was probably intact.
Oh, interesting.
And the next photograph.
These are pictures that I took of States Exhibit 12 with the liquid being inside States Exhibit 13.
And the next one.
These are pictures I took of States Exhibit 14 with the liquid being inside States Exhibit 15.
The last photograph.
These are close-ups of States Exhibit 14, the vial.
At the conclusion of your study of all of these exhibits, did you write a report of your findings?
I did.
If I could have this last exhibit, Mark, please.
Here's exhibit number 17, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Let me give you that one. I'll show you that one. Thank you.
Yeah, be the new Liver King.
Anyway, it's been marked for identification as state 17. You recognize that?
I do. This is the report I issued dated July 20th, 2021.
And could you share with us your conclusions that you embodied in that report, please?
So the conclusions that are embodied in this report are that States Exhibit 11, the liquid from the methylprednisolone labeled bottle, were consistent with containing methylprednisolone acetate, which is the chemical that was labeled on the bottle. States Exhibit 10.
So it was prednisone.
States Exhibit
Yeah.
12, the liquid that came out of there, States Exhibit 13, is consistent with containing letrozole and glycerol. Those are not the
Letrozole.
chemicals labeled on the bottle. The bottle is labeled as enclomiphene citrate.
And glycerol?
Glycerol is
But letrozole is a cancer medication, but usually it doesn't come in liquid form, which is weird.
glycerol is it's something you can use for training as well. It's an alcohol. Yeah, glycerol is an alcohol. What the
You
hell
need to
do you use?
explain this more. I'll wait, I guess.
Glycerol is a simple triol compound. It is colorless, odorless, viscous liquid that is sweet tasting and non-toxic. The glycerol backbone is found in lipids known as glycerides. It is also widely used as a sweetener in the food industry and as a humectant in the pharmaceutical formulation. So
Yeah, but
it's
to like pair that with letrozole, which is weird. So I don't know.
maybe, yeah. But it's not what it said on the tin. But glycerol is it's something you add to a ton of
Could
products.
be just a filler, yeah.
Yeah.
And States Exhibit 14, the bottle labeled Humalog Insulin Lispro, and the contents, States Exhibit 15, States Exhibit 15, the liquid is consistent with containing human insulin / humalog.
Stevens, what was your report that you have in front of you and you've just reviewed with us? Was that the only
I
report?
think
you
they
wrote in?
do as well,
It
glycerol.
was.
Has anything been brought to your attention since you conducted your study and wrote your report that would cause you to change your mind?
No.
Your Honor, at this point, the state moves 9 through 17 into evidence.
Any objection, Mr. Selden?
No, Your Honor.
All right, states exhibits 9 through 17 are admitted into evidence.
Yeah, that's nitroglycerin is for heart.
Yeah.
Stevens, focusing
Jam Cracker, thanks for 10 months. Thanks for the tutorial on creatine. No, really. I'll talk more about it in the break.
on the insulin, is there a way to determine
No, it's not the insulin that was tainted. It was the cancer medicine.
the difference between insulin and insulin? I'm not sure how. Lispro, is that how it's pronounced?
There is human insulin, which is generated in the human body. And then there's human insulin, there's human insulin, and there's insulin Lispro. Lispro is what we call an isomer, the same chemical formula manufactured in a lab with a subtle difference, a change in order of the blocks that build it. So there is differences in the chemical structure, but our techniques will not tell them apart. So that's why the report says it's consistent with containing human insulin / humalog. Humalog is the brand name for for insulin Lispro.
What's the intention or what's the use of insulin that you found in your
It
lab?
didn't sound like it was tainted.
Insulin is used to regulate blood sugar.
What do I know?
Can I have just a moment, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Could that Litrocell, whatever it's, that was the name, right? Litrocell.
You said
It says it's also
letrozole
for
and
bipolar.
glycerin.
You didn't make any opinion or suggest any conclusion as to the contents in terms of
No, it was just the Humalog that was in the last one.
volume
Yeah.
of any of those vials, did you?
I did not.
Why not?
Our technical procedures don't have that as part of our routine analysis.
So they didn't measure the content, so we don't even know if anything was used from the bottles.
Exactly.
Reporting measurements of significance, such as the volume of a vial, is not something our lab does.
That's all the questions the state has, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Let's take our mid-morning break at this time.
Interesting. There was a bottle that they claimed was a ovulation helper, which contained either a bipolar treatment or something for the big C, mixed with glycerol. But he didn't measure what was in the containers, so we don't know if any was used.
Mhm.
And no one tampered with the bottles. But if you didn't tamper with the bottle, how can you have a different product in the bottle? Then they labeled it wrong at the pharmacy.
Or you're getting something illegally. I don't know.
Brandon, of course, you are always the smartest person in the room because you're alone in it. What I told you, this guy is taking bipolar meds. He could be on lamotrigine, I don't know, for seizures and roid rage control. Could be. The clomiphene bottle was not for human use, just for R&D. What was
Oh,
in Synthol
okay.
when people were injecting that in the muscle? Synthol is an oil. It's
Is
it's
that
just an
the? Oh, okay.
It's when you get those ridiculous arms when you pump them, and they put it in butts as well to make them look big. It was not bought at a pharmacy since it was for R&D use only. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably the one he was getting.
Yeah, that's what he got under the table. I brought creatine gummies before Christmas, chewed them, finished them off, then back to the store, see creatine, but couldn't recall why I took them. Then it's not a helper for your cognitive. No, creatine is a really good supplement if you are working out. It helps your muscles obtain more nutrients because it helps the cells suck in more liquid. When you start using it, you will have a slight improvement in your lifts. I feel it helps me with my joint pain as well, because I'm an old guy who lifts stupidly. And also because it says it's good for cognition, because it helps make sure you can get nutrients to your brain. I don't take that much. I take 1 scoop every day when I go to the gym, put it in my water bottle. It's proven to be one of the best strength improvers you can take that's a non-steroid. So if you are semi-serious about your lifting or running or stuff like that, it wouldn't hurt you to take some creatine, and if you have too much in your body, you'll just pee it out. And then you can drink it the next day, like all the good cult people down in Florida. R&D is research and development. I'm on lamotrigine, often prescribed as an antipsychotic. You just buy it online, the research only. Interesting, you can do that. If we are having this many questions, imagine the jury. Yeah, and this is what I'm saying. We are the jury. None of us are professionals other than Jamie. She can run it through, and I can goggle it. I know basic stuff from the bodybuilding world. Not that I've used it, but I know some guys who probably has the Hollywood chicken and broccoli diet. And I know a little bit about what they take and how to try and balance it, because a lot of people will just think, oh, I'm going to get only test, and that's not good for you. You need some D-ball, you need some Anavar and stuff like that to balance it out.
Mm-hmm.
Not that anyone should do any of that at all. But it's interesting. You can do more reps and break your muscles and the tendons down more. Exactly. If you want bigger muscles, you have to destroy your muscles because it'll grow back stronger. But it's also because it'll help when you then break it down and need the nutrients to come in to build it up. It helps I think it helps with the transportation over the cell wall. That's basically what it does. No, I just feel like I'm 28 sometimes, but I'll be 27 next week on Tuesday. I'm gonna get a massage on my birthday. That'd be nice. So from Googling, the letrozole can impact brain function that cause the person to be more aggressive and insulin resistant. Yeah, and it doesn't hurt you. And no studies have shown any negative side effects of the creatine use I've seen.
Yeah.
I think we are all kind of lost because yes, we found this medication. Where did you find them? It's not what it says on the tin, but what is hopefully the defense will help us clear this up.
Yeah.
And I want to know how much of it was in his body. Well, Iris and I will, because when her and Jamie comes to Denmark, Jamie is probably going to need a nap. Then Iris and I will be going to the gym because Iris needs to find a strapping young Viking, and I need to lift. So we'll be going to the gym, and I'll tell her all about supplements. And she'll look at me and say, "Could you please shut up? I'm hooking up with this 6'5", blonde-eyed, blue eyes guy over here."
Oh my goodness.
You know she's gonna leave us. You and I are gonna meet up with people on Saturday, and Iris you'll see her again in the airport when you're flying out. And she was like, oh my, what a week I had.
I hope she does say, oh my. Oh my.
It was true. It's true what they say about, sorry, that's from Blazing Saddles. I don't want to know what the side effects of nitrous oxide. I don't think people really take that anymore. I think you can still take the knocks. We can't get that anymore in Denmark as a pre-workout. I can remember that made you feel all jiggly, and I never got the pump from it, but you just felt super weird when you took that pre-workout. Yeah, that's why I have all the tattoos, to cover up all my stretch marks. Iris, when you get in these scuffles with bouncers and cartel members, do you lay low and read the newspaper for a few days, or just book it back across the border? I think I figured it out. The victim had pre-diabetic symptoms, didn't want to have it confirmed by a doctor, and was self-medication, so he could not lose his pilot license.
Well,
As good as any explanation we have heard so far.
yeah. Well, that was what the one guy was saying. He was talking about him being nervous about being on seizure medication because that could possibly affect him with this pilot license, even though his friend said, no, it won't. I don't know. I feel like having seizures is a big deal. I mean, my dad had him for a minute, and he had to like limit his driving for a while. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and again, if he had we know he didn't like the general hospital, so he could just be saying, F it, I'll Google it and I'll get some stuff. And Iris says, Mexican, oh my, is hola papi. Yes, you can use the Nox to make whipped cream as well, but there was some.
Are there any matters that we need to
pre-workout.
take up out of the presence of the jury at this time, Mr. Truman?
Thank you.
Anything, Mr. Selden? Very well.
No.
Bring in the jury, please.
Oh, you can't get the. This is the no explode. That's the knock
Oh
side.
my God. That stuff is crazy.
Yeah, it feels like your brain is gonna explode on that.
It
I
feels
don't
like your
like it
heart's
when
gonna
there's.
burst out of your chest. Yeah.
Yeah,
We used to take
that was
stuff.
really big. The knock side in pre-workout back in the day.
Mhm.
It was better back in the day when they had artificial all amphetamines are
Amphetamine.
artificial, but
Yeah.
you had amphetamine in it. You could really work out on that stuff. Yes.
We used to go to the gym like crazy back in the day, and my brother had some, and he's like, "You should try it." And I was like, "Okay," because I was just doing like girl stuff, and I thought I was gonna die when I tried it.
Because Jamie used to be a gym rat.
Yeah, not so much anymore.
Oh, Rip Fuel was good.
We continue
Camel
with
Power,
cross-examination of the
Beavers
witness,
Creek.
please, Mr. Selden.
Sometimes you
Your
didn't
Honor.
sleep for a weekend. If you had a
Mr. Stevens, my name is
had a weekend where you just went out drinking, you just popped some Thermal Power, which they told you was for fat loss. It was pure amphetamines. No problem.
Stanley Selden. I'm co-counsel for the defense for Natalie Cochran. Good morning. I would like to ask you, you have testified in other trials before, have you not?
I have.
And in all of those trials, you testified for the prosecution or the state, isn't that correct?
I believe that is correct. Yes.
And in this case, you were asked by the prosecution and the state to testify more or less on their behalf as to the substances submitted for your analysis. Isn't that correct?
I was asked to testify to the report I had previously issued. So yes, that happened to be for the state in this case.
Right. I'd like to ask you a few questions about your education and training, not so much to qualify you as an expert, which has already been done, but just general knowledge.
Sure.
Okay? Yeah. In the course of your education, did you have any courses in
Thank you, Iris, for 5 gifted memberships to Reby. Valhalla awaits. OnlyFan. Luna. And Megan and a dog named Jim. Congratulations, Mod of the Year with a membership to the channel. I go to a lot of jam band concerts, but I stick to the devil's letters. Probably better for you. You can't fly a plane with a seizure disorder. Good reason to hide it as well. At least he's not yelling at them like the other one did. Happy birthday, Valhalla. May 23 V. Ginas await you.
toxicology?
Yes, I did. I had one course in graduate school.
And toxicology is the study of toxins or poisons in the body. Would that be a fair summary?
Yes.
Did you have courses in biochemistry and organic chemistry?
Yes, in undergrad, I had courses in both.
And would you tell briefly what biochemistry is?
Biochemistry, as I learned it in undergrad, is the interaction of human biology with chemistry. So materials that go into and out of your body.
Right. So you have some knowledge of how chemicals introduced in the body react in the body. Would that be a fair statement?
No, that's actually outside the scope of my expertise at the FBI.
But you have some knowledge through research, especially in the case of Humalog, correct?
As part of the training, yes, I have some foundational understanding of what insulin is, but not how it interacts with the body.
Okay.
Thank you. Come on.
Were you aware or were you informed that the substances provided to you for analysis, especially the Humalog and the methylprednisolone, were recovered from the home of Natalie Cochran, which was 433 4H Lake Road?
Yes, that probably would have been on the incoming description of evidence provided.
Okay. And were you aware or were you told that those items were recovered pursuant to a search of 433 4H Lake Road by police officers and other investigating officers?
I don't recall. No, I don't recall being told that. I mean, obviously they were obtained and I was provided information from where they were obtained, but not how they were obtained.
But they were obtained by the state and then subsequently provided to you, correct?
I assume so, yes.
I submit to you that Michael Cochran died around February 11th of 2019. These substances were not provided to you until June of 2021. Isn't that correct?
They were recovered in the field office sooner than that, but they arrived in my unit in, I believe it was May of 2021.
Okay.
And I started the analysis in June of 2021.
So over
Please stay medicated.
2 years subsequent to the death of Michael Cochran. Wouldn't that be a fair statement?
When
If he
did you-
passed away in February of 2019.
Correct.
I submit to you that these substances were collected approximately 4 months to 5 months after the death of Michael Cochran in February of 2019. Do you know what was done with these, where they were, how they were stored prior to you receiving them approximately 2 years later?
No, I do not.
Now, I would like to discuss states 10 and 11
Hey, Shizzy Raiders.
and
That's the second time today
10.
Shizzy raided me.
was a vial marked methylprednisolone acetate. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And your report states, and it's also confirmed that that particular item was found in a cabinet in the corner of the home of the
Right.
Cochrans.
He's already indicated he doesn't know any of this stuff.
We're not
I think
talking.
that's correct.
The Shizzy
Then
raid
the
isn't a
court will
peep raid.
sustain the objection.
But this was recovered at 433 4H Lake Road.
Sustained,
Just-
please, Mr.
Thank you.
Selden.
Okay. Methylprednisolone acetate is a synthetic corticosteroid, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I'll happily
A
have you.
form of steroids in general, right?
The use that I researched and came across was an anti-inflammatory,
Right.
not a corticosteroid, an anabolic steroid for growing muscle tissue.
And that leads me to my next question, which is methylprednisolone acetate suppresses inflammation, right?
Correct.
Now, I submit to you that if Natalie Cochran had inflammation of the lungs, would it be a proper use of methylprednisolone acetate to aid in suppressing that inflammation of the lungs?
That is a question that would be answered by a doctor that's outside of my area of expertise.
Well, methylprednisolone acetate suppresses inflammation, right?
Objection.
He's not a doctor.
It's indicated it's beyond his area of expertise. It's beyond his area of expertise.
I think that says it all. The court is constrained to sustain the objection.
Can steroids increase blood sugar?
Again, that's not an area I'm an expert in. The interaction of steroids with the human body would be an endocrinologist or potentially a toxicologist or an MD, a doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, it would
Do
have
you
been
know
quite
if an
safe.
overdose of methylprednisolone acetate is life-threatening or not?
I do not know.
Okay.
He's just a chemist. He knows what's in the bottle. He doesn't know what the bottle does.
Yeah, we need to move on.
Yeah. Hey, Teriyaki.
I'd like to move on to states 12 and 13. That was identified as a vial marked enclophamine citrate. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And that particular substance, according to your report, came from 211 Old Grandview Road, which was not the Cochran residence.
What
Isn't it
happened?
correct as to
What
where
just
it was recovered
happened?
from?
Your Honor, ma'am.
211 particular substance, according
I've
and
been
that
on the phone and then I
particular
come back
substance,
and what's
according
happening?
to your report, came from 211 Old Grandview Road, which we identified as a vial marked enclophamine, identified as a vial marked enclophamine, identified as a vial marked enclophamine.
Oh, because he like
Citrate.
did
Correct?
the sleep
Yes, that's right.
wobble.
No, it
Is
was
that what
because
you're
he hit
talking about?
the
And that
microphone.
particular substance,
Yeah.
according to your report,
He
came
did the
from
sleep wobble. He poured
211
himself
Old
and he smacked
Grandview
him
Road,
in
which was not the Cochran residence. Isn't it correct as to where it was
I might
recovered
need
from?
to clip that.
Your Honor, may I refer to the report?
Certainly.
So that is not listed in the report. Excuse me, yes, it is. States Exhibit 12 was recovered in 211 Old Grandview.
Thank you. Which, of course, is not the same as 433 4H Lake Road,
I'm weird.
right?
Correct.
Now, your extensive analysis showed that it didn't contain enclophamine citrate. It contained glycerol and letrozole, correct?
Correct.
So it was mismarked, misidentified, right?
The label on States Exhibit 12 did not match the contents of the liquid States Exhibit 13.
Letrozole is a breast.
breast cancer
See.
drug.
Yeah, but it's used for women who have stopped menstruating. She wasn't that old. So
But
Fine.
yeah.
As
Unless
my
it was
gram-
compounded, usually it doesn't come in liquid form. That's why it was weird. But anyways.
yeah, as my grandma said, an Irishman is not drunk so long as he can hold onto a single blade of grass to prevent himself from falling off the face of the earth. Your grandma was a smart woman. As long as you stay on the bar stool and don't stand up, the earth won't start moving.
If I submit to you that withdraw that, I'm not going to ask that question.
Thank you.
Did you thank him for that?
Yeah, because it takes him forever to ask a question.
I'd like to move on to states 14 and 15. That was marked as Humalog Insulin Liz Pro, Is that correct?
Yes, States Exhibit, the vial, States Exhibit 14 was marked that.
And you testify that you have specialized knowledge, research, etc., into Humalog insulin and its effects and your research. Is that correct?
I believe I testified that I have the expertise to analyze those and determine whether or not something contains that or is consistent with containing those materials, not their effects on the human body.
Luthi, watching this trial, I'm not sure she did it. There's so much reasonable doubt in this case. The state really haven't so far proven anything. What they have proven is they have a mislabeled or a medicine bottle that didn't contain what it said it did. So far, that's what we know. It's a really, really weird case.
Insulin in general. Well, there are different classifications of insulin.
It's really, the state said we only have circumstantial evidence, and all of it is a neighbor said something, and another guy had a meeting that they canceled, and a third guy went over there. We don't have any toxicology. I hope it'll come at some point.
There's
Cheers,
insulin
Leslie.
produced by the pancreas of the body, which is produced internally by the body, correct?
Correct.
Then you have insulin, which is manufactured. You have Humalog, Lispro, and you have a couple of other brands of insulin. Isn't that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
You have
West Virginia.
essentially two different kinds of synthetic insulin. You have fast-acting insulin, which Humalog, Lispro is a member of, and you have the slower, longer-acting types of insulin, correct?
Correct.
Humalog, Lispro insulin is termed fast-acting because its effects take approximately 15 minutes to work.
He doesn't
Correct.
know that.
My research said 15 to 30 minutes, but yes, it's fast acting in that it is ready, available insulin. Yes.
And its workings or effect is to essentially reduce blood sugar, right?
The marketed purpose of insulin is to regulate blood sugar. Its effects in the body on any given injection would be something best answered by an endocrinologist or a doctor.
But you said you have specialized knowledge of insulin, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Now, insulin, from your understanding of it, doesn't just wham, it takes effect and that's it. Humalog, Lispro insulin works over 3 to 4 hours. Isn't that right?
Again, that's a question best answered by an endocrinologist or doctor. My expertise is in the analysis of the chemistry.
Yeah, everyone who said Colonel Klink was a little too aggressive, miss him yet?
Of insulin, not its interactions in the human body.
But there were various research articles attached to the reports, which included research into insulin, its effects, etc. Weren't you familiar with those?
Yes, there are references attached to my report that talk generically. I don't believe there were actual studies. There are lists, the references to some studies, but those are not studies that I understood as interacting in the human body.
Well, why did you research them then?
There are
Why did
references,
you refer to them and why did you say you were familiar with them?
if I'm understanding correctly, there's two sources of information that came out of the references that I provided. One was drugs.com, which is a site that we use for generic uses of drugs. And the other one was the Merck Index. And the Merck Index was provided for some of these to show generically what these are used for. And those references may be included in those studies in this pronouns.
And the Merck index and those studies tell you how they work in the body, right? How their chemicals work, right?
The references that are included may provide that information, but those are not studies they're within my scope of expertise.
Yes, cross-examination right now. Yeah. A younger Mitch McConnell.
Permission to mark this exhibit for identification purposes.
All right, if you'll hand it to the clerk, please.
He even walks slow.
This will be defendant's exhibit number 9.
Permission to persuade, sir.
Yes,
I like turtles.
Permission to question the witness from here.
you may proceed.
Now, Mr. Stevens, would you look at those collection of photographs?
Sure.
How many photographs are there?
There are 4 photographs of what appear to be a vial in different positions.
I'm going to go through them one by one, if that's all right. The top one, would it be a fair representation to say this is a photograph of Humalog insulin Lispro vial? It's marked U100. Bottom it says Lilly, and it has a fairly clear liquid that appears to be full to the top. Would that be correct?
This is a picture of a Humalog insulin bottle, Insulin Lispro, marked Lilly. It's hard to tell from the image. That's the collar of the vial, so it does look like there's a liquid there, but it could be a bubble as well. This material doesn't bubble up. So without having seen this, I don't know. I didn't take this picture.
Well, I would submit to you that this photograph was taken by Lieutenant Bledsoe and another officer at the location of 433 4H Lake Road, and it was placed on a counter and photographed. Okay? Does this look like the same vial that was submitted to you for analysis?
Oh, this is really interesting if it's not the same vial.
The front of this has the same markings. I would want to check with the States Exhibit 14 to make sure they have the same serials. And it's not possible to tell different lots. If they're the same lot of vials, it wouldn't be possible to determine if this vial and this vial were actually the same.
Okay.
From pictures alone.
The second photograph is a side view of what appears to be the same vial. Isn't that correct?
I think he's trying to imply that it's bogus evidence they got, or that they did some shenanigans with the evidence. That's what I'm getting out of this, but he's taking us the long way around.
Right.
Yes, this is a picture of another vial. Or the same vial. That's
from the way.
And again, as far as what it shows, is it appears to be filled to the top, or as you said,
Oh, it's to imply that no insulin was missing.
possibly a bubble, correct?
From the picture alone, I can't determine where the liquid is. There's a label that covers the vast majority of the bottle, and then at the very top, around where the collar of the vial is, there's a circle, and that could be liquid or it could be a bubble.
You know, I'd like to put these on the viewer so the jury can see as well.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the show it to jury. They must be the finder of facts if they find that the vial is
If you
full.
look at this viewer, and I don't know if you can see it or not,
That's,
this is the first photograph I showed you, which was identified as Humalog insulin Lispro. Is that right?
Correct.
just gonna embiggen this. To me, it looks like the water level is up there. As he said, it could just be the reflection in the glass. But it kind of looks like, to me at least, that This is where you have the liquid. And again, we need a doctor to tell us how much of this you need to pass out or to get the symptoms he had.
And as you can see from this photograph, it appears as if the fluid comes all the way up to here on the bottom. Would that not be a fair and accurate representation?
Your Honor, state objects. This is way outside of this witness's expertise. The picture is what the picture is, but it has nothing to do with forensic chemistry.
Your Honor, it does in the sense that we are documenting what he received, what condition it was in, and how it was analyzed.
I'm not sure the witness can answer, but I'll give the defense some latitude. If you can answer, Mr. Stevens, go ahead.
So as I previously testified to, it does look like there is some material up there at the top, much like you see now with State's Exhibit 15, there are bubbles. And so from this picture alone, I can't ascertain whether that's liquid or a bubble or just the color of the vial. So I can't answer the question accurately from this picture alone.
This second photograph is, or appears to be, the same vial from the side view. Would that be fair?
No, I refer to State's Exhibit 14.
Sure.
Check some of the markings.
That's where I see the water level.
Yes, this has the same markings as State's Exhibit 14.
Right, it has some numbers on the side which are identical to the state's exhibit.
Correct.
No, way down. Oh, you're seeing this down here as the water level. I see this as the water level. But that's, again, we are the jury. The jury is looking at the picture. It could be Rage Crochet, or it could be me that has the same view as the jury. We never know.
Correct.
Would you look at this photograph? Does this appear to be the same vial with the same contents viewed from the other side? And I call attention to these markings on the side, WG4171AMX. Is that the same vial as the state's?
This picture has the same markings as the vial from the state. I don't know if it's the same vial. Same markings.
Appears to be the same.
It has the same markings.
This is why it's fascinating to watch trials with a group of people who dare to have a different opinion in a chat, because we all learn from each other, and we see different things, and that's what the jury will do. There are 12 people there who has to determine this case, and some people will see the glasses half empty, and some will see it as full. I'm a positive guy. Rage Crochet, apparently not. No, I'm just pulling your leg.
I submit to you that, as I said, this vial was recovered and photographed by Lieutenant Bledsoe, who also stated in his report when he submitted these vials for analysis that this particular vial appeared to be full and unopened. Can you comment on that?
This is the first time I've heard that information. So I have no opinion, and it doesn't change my conclusion that item 15 is consistent with containing insulin, human insulin / bliss product.
And just for clarification, this last photograph, which was in this batch,
No, it does not.
Okay, thank you.
Again, we're talking about she's trying to cover up the crime, but she keeps the murder weapon. She's the smartest, dumbest criminal in the world. This is 3 or 4 months later they raid her house, and she still have the murder weapon stashed in her fridge.
Any objection, Mr. Truman?
None.
Very
well.
To be used, it has to.
Sorry. Thought it was released. So did the judge.
Move for admission, Your Honor.
Any objection, Mr. Truman?
None.
Very well. What exhibits again are presented, Madam Clerk?
These 4 photos, number 9.
Collectively marked as number 9. They will be admitted.
They haven't convinced me yet that she's more than a con artist. I have to say it, because
Now, I know you're
reasonable
not
doubt.
an endocrinologist, but in order for synthetic insulin to be used, it has to either be injected directly with a hypodermic needle, or it has to be put into a pump worn by an individual for its use in the body. Isn't that correct?
the problem is we have no medical records. This is the first fact witness we have. The rest of them, the first 2 days have been, yeah, I saw something, I think something. This is the first fact witness, and the only thing he did was test the content. He didn't even measure the content of the vials.
Correct.
I'm not familiar with the methods of application, if you will, the routes of entry that the drug was, but those sound like things that I've heard in general media. In other words, I don't know how the drug is best administered into the body.
In the reports provided, Humalog Lispro, once the top is punctured, has to be used within 28 days or its potency disappears. As a chemist, isn't that correct?
No, that can't be correct. In our case, we use standards for a period of time. So when we puncture them and we use them, we can still use them up until they no longer meet our quality criteria. From a medical perspective, that may be the case. But from an analytical chemistry, can we detect this? The answer is we can detect after something has been punctured more than 28 days.
You can't determine the potency of the drug as far as a time period. You didn't do any tests for the potency of the drug.
Correct. We do not test for concentration or potency as part of our routine analysis. So no, we did not test the potency of the drug.
But there were reports attached to your report and other reports from the FBI that once the top of Humalog insulin vial is punctured, the contents degrade.
They didn't start looking at it as unaliving until 3 or 4 months later. Then they charged her, then they dropped the charges, and now we have a trial because they charged her again. Again, all of it is circumstantial. So far, the only medical expert tested the drugs, didn't test if they were viable or anything, just said, yeah, it is the content for 2 of them that it says on the tin. The last one isn't. Didn't measure how much was in the containers so he could prove that some of it had been used. That's all we have gotten so far in 2 days, 3 days.
Over a period of time as far as usefulness in the body. Isn't that correct?
When I tested the sample that was submitted, States Exhibit 15, I compared it to fresh insulin obtained from a pharmacy, and they compared favorably. In other words, the ratios that we look at and the retention times that we look at were all consistent, and hence the conclusion. States Exhibit 15 is consistent with containing human insulin / humalog at the time I analyzed it.
Okay. Now that brings up another point. To analyze the contents of this vial, marked humalog, give me just a moment.
Yeah, this is the interesting thing. If the vial or the seal is broken and it deteriorates within 28 days, or that's of course a medical standard that you shouldn't use it after a certain amount of time. But he didn't test it till what, 2 years later? If it's been the airtight seal has been broken with 2 years of possible air coming in and bacteria and stuff like that. I don't know if he measured potency, he could probably tell that it had been insulin in the bottle, but if it's still good, fresh insulin, that could be an indication that the plastic seal hadn't been punctured. Again, it's reasonable doubt questions, and I think there's so much reasonable doubt in this case that I have a hard time finding them guilty. The neighbor. But she might have used it because she was on the Big C treatment.
You or someone in your lab went out and got a new bottle of Humalog from Dan's Wellness Pharmacy for comparison, correct?
Correct.
And you did various tests on that bottle and compared it.
Yeah, and if it checks the same, isn't that an indication that 2 years later it hasn't been? And I know they're self-sealing, but there's a reason why the company says it's only good for 28 days, because the membrane will not be as strong as it was to begin with. So that's why you have a 28-day window on an open vial. I would surmise. So if it checks out as the same as fresh insulin, wouldn't that be an indication that the membrane hadn't been punctured? And again, if it's half a vial, I don't know. I need a doctor to tell me how much insulin I would need to induce those symptoms he had, because half a vial, 5 milliliters, is that enough to send someone into a massive crash instantly? That's another thing. And I didn't see half a vial gone. I didn't see anything gone, but I'll go with what Rage Crusade said, that middle part. Would that be enough to induce an insulin coma instantly in a person? That, as I'm saying, it's just breadcrumb of reasonable doubt for me.
To the bottle that was submitted to you, all kinds of tests, and you found it was consistent with Humalog Lispro insulin, correct?
The report wording is consistent with consistent with human insulin / humalog. Yes.
Consistent with means.
But insulin is also heavily used in the bodybuilding community. And apparently he did some, if it's bodybuilding or strongman, but it's used to to break down the barriers in your cells to obtain more sugar in them. That's why a lot of bodybuilders die young, because they misuse insulin to get bigger. So we don't know. Apparently, he was a strongman or a Spartan athlete. Maybe he was on roids. Again, I need a doctor to tell me what's in his body and how that indicates poisoning.
It is not identical, but it is of the same family. It appears to be the same type of drug. Right?
Consistent with is the predefined highest level of association that we have in that standard operating procedure. So there is no identification of insulin in our lab. It's not a possibility.
Now, synthetic insulin is produced by the companies in batches. What I mean is the sum total of all synthetic insulin isn't produced by the manufacturer at the same time. It's done in batches of insulin. Isn't that correct?
Yes, insulin would be manufactured in lots or batches, yes.
Now, it has been put forth or alleged that a vial of
Totally agree,
Humalog Lispro insulin was provided to Natalie Cochran on or about February 6th of 2019. There is no possible way to say that particular vial is the particular vial that was analyzed by you. Isn't that correct?
I want to make sure I understand your question. You're asking, is the item submitted to me the vial that was collected, or are you asking if I can tie the vial that I tested to the one you described?
I'll ask it a little clearer.
See you later, Holly. Please ask a little clearer and a little faster.
And I want to make sure I don't misstate anything. There have been some suggestions, implications that a vial of Humalog Lispro insulin might have been used by Natalie Cochran to inject her husband, and that vial may have been provided by the Davises, who had a son with diabetes. You don't have any way of determining if that was true, that vial was the vial you were provided in 21, which was recovered 4 or 5 months after the death of Michael Cochran.
My analysis would not link insulin to any incident. It only tests the contents of the vial. In other words, I don't know that any.
I think this lawyer needs to wrap it up, because now he's just muddying the water. He would never be able to tell what batch it came out of. You have to look at the batch number on the vial.
Alleged activities happened out of this file.
Okay. Why didn't you measure the volume of the vial?
At the time it was submitted, it was not in question, and that's not part of our technical operating procedure. That's not a requirement. That's not something that we were asked to do at the time, and it's not something that we actually have a procedure to do.
Why not? Wouldn't that be the first thing you would want to know to determine if any of the fluid was taken out.
Your Honor, this is beyond the witness's scope. He says this is our procedure. He followed the procedure. The defense hypothetical as to why is irrelevant.
I think we're getting far afield. The court is going to sustain the objection.
You don't know if any fluid was taken out of this vial or not.
That is correct.
Yeah, that's
Now it's been
This is
set
the
forth that
question you
there
should have
was a puncture in the top of this vial. Is that correct?
That's outside my scope of expertise. There's a different examiner that examined that.
But you examined the bottle when it came in, did you not?
I did visually examine the bottle, but it's outside my area of expertise to determine if any markings on there are a result of a tool, like a needle or a syringe.
I didn't ask you about markings. I actually asked you about it has like a rubber top. In order to use it, someone has to use a needle to put it in to withdraw the substance. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the primary way that a user at home would use insulin.
And if there was a puncture in the top of that rubber seal, did you observe that when you looked at the bottle? I'm not talking about markings. I'm talking about a puncture in the top.
I captured images, States Exhibit 16, that include an image of the top of that, but I do not have an opinion on whether or not that's a puncture.
There were no fingerprints on the bottle. Is that correct?
It's outside my area of expertise.
Well, who examines the bottle when it?
Archangel. We haven't had any ME so far. And again, they didn't start looking until 3-4 months later. They had to exhume the body then. The official death certificate said brain swelling. It's really a case of a lot of you have to believe this led to this. And it's kind of like, because she's a Ponzi schemer, she's also a killer. Have been following this for 3 days now. I'm further away from believing she's guilty, proven guilty. Let me say that she's proven guilty than I was when we started the case. The state's case it's not even circumstantial. Most of it is speculation and hearsay. Exactly. Just leave the horse alone. Figure out that it's not his area of expertise. Move on. It's not this battle you need to win. You have proven that he didn't measure the content, so you can't say for certain that any of this was used against him.
Comes in to determine if they're fingerprints or not.
In this case, I believe it went to our latent prints operating unit, which they would be the ones that would issue reports on that.
Okay. Did you review any of those reports or look at any of them?
I do not.
Now, I know it's not your area of expertise, but if the top was punctured, there would be no way to determine when that occurred.
Objection.
Sustained.
I think the crashing blood sugar could potentially have something to do with it, but I'm not sure. I'm not a medical expert. Hey, Laurie. Welcome, welcome.
A moment, Your Honor. I'd like to look over my notes.
All right.
Yeah, that's true. They thought that someone unalived him, but it seemed like he had taken the wrong kind of drugs that his body had a reaction to, right? An allergic reaction. I think.
If the contents of the vial submitted to you and were tested and they were the same or consistent with a brand new bottle of Humalog insulin, which you did, you compared it. How could if the bottle were punctured 2 years earlier, how would the contents compare? Would not the contents of the vial you were given be different as far as degrading?
We didn't conduct concentration studies. We didn't conduct potency studies. These are, again, outside the scope of our technical expertise, our technical procedures. Sorry.
Last time, Your Honor.
All right.
I believe that concludes my cross-examination, Your Honor.
Very well. Redirect Mr. Truman.
State has no additional questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Any reason to hold this gentleman further?
None.
Anything further from Mr. Stevens? Mr. Sullivan?
I believe so. I believe he can be excused.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. You may step down. You are excused. Thank you. Come up, please.
Do the rubber on these vials self-seal after a while? They are supposed to, but once broken, you can never seal it again. It's kind of like the V card. Once you lose it, you can only claim your V 2 or 3 times again. So it will deteriorate over time.
All right, members of the jury, you may be delighted or you may be sad, but we've gone as far as we can go today. Today is Friday, so you'll have a very nice weekend. If you come to court on Tuesday, you'll be surprised because Tuesday is a holiday. It's Martin Luther King Day, and we will be closed.
Oh, that's
so
Monday.
we have a 3-day weekend.
That's Monday, not
don't
Tuesday.
like holidays during a trial because it gives my juries an extra day to get into trouble. And I don't want you all to get into trouble. We've already got too much time and effort invested in this matter to have difficulties.
Valhalla, are you ready?
You will hear, if you're not careful, people talking about this case. There's much to do online. As I've explained to you, we have a media source that is streaming this live. And not only do they do that, they rebroadcast it in the evenings. You all see it firsthand. There's no need for you to see a rebroadcast when you get home because you have the best seats in the house. Please do not watch any of the broadcasts or hear any of the commentaries that people offer. You folks are in the catbird's seats. You folks will be asked to decide this case, and I don't want you to be influenced one way or another by someone else's opinion. It is your decision that will count. So guard against reports popping up on TV at news time. Please do not read the newspaper. Please do not try to conduct any research online. And please guard against reading any reports or viewing any video online. I want you to keep an open mind, as I have said. We will start up again on Tuesday morning, promptly at 9 o'clock, and we will have a whole slate of witnesses for you at that time. We've simply had a little bit of scheduling difficulty today, and that is the reason why we are quitting early today. But we will be ready for you folks Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock. Again, do not talk among yourselves or with anyone else about this case. Have a wonderful weekend and put this out of your mind over the weekend and be with your families and your friends and rest up so that Tuesday you can come back refreshed and be ready to delve back into
Check
this.
your Twitter.
All right. With that admonition, you may follow the bailiff to your jury room, and I'll see you Tuesday morning.
He has the link, but he's just too lazy to open up his twit. Well, will we have some X?
Yes.
Your Honor, we have a slight problem with one of our experts, Dr. Banerjee. We were attempting to have her come in Monday to be present for testimony Tuesday and Wednesday, when we expect the state's experts to testify, so she resides this month. There are many complications with that. She would like to attend by a video audio hookup or an audio hookup so she can listen to their testimony. We don't want to distract from the state's experts. We were wondering if perhaps she could be hooked up by our equipment.
She can watch on the
and
Broken
if
Baker.
her picture wasn't there, at least she could listen to the testimony.
Well, this is what comes to mind. I suppose she could always watch it as it's being broadcast live on court TV. If she has access to that, she can see it like everybody else is.
The Broken Baker.
It. Otherwise,
Someone send that
she could
super
listen
chat
by
and say,
telephone.
What's on the Baker?
We could call her and arrange our speaker so that she could hear the testimony over the phone.
No, she just wasn't
And that
wants to
would be
listen to the
preferable,
state's
Your Honor,
experts.
because the purpose is so she can advise us, for example, on cross-examination, et cetera. So a phone hookup or an audio hookup would be preferable.
Okay. Any difficulties with the state with that solution, Mr. Truman?
None, Your Honor.
Very well.
Mr. Truman.
What other problems do we need to talk about?
Your Honor, we would just like to renew our motion to exclude the vial of insulin and the motions connected with that, just for the record.
All right. The court will continue to deny all of those motions. I'll preserve the defense exception to the court's previous rulings and the present ruling, and it will be preserved for possible review at an appropriate time. All right. Thank you all. Court is in recess.
Recess.
Getting
Hey,
out
bud.
at noon. This lucky son of a gun. What's going on, man?
Well, now I have nothing to do. So I will try a Friday night off, sit on my couch, watch a series, have a beer with you
your
and Brandon
Friday
right now, and I don't know, maybe put WordCrack on for half an hour so Sue doesn't search me out and unalives me when I get to Knoxville. Are we ready, Brandon? Do you think he even drinks? I think he's just
Probably not. I think he's one of those.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm drinking. So much.
He's one of those sycophants that just pays people to get drunk and laughs at him.
Born that
It's like
way,
a
baby.
bartender.
Well, happy Friday, Brandon.
Happy Friday. It's so cold. It's so cold.
I keep them on a shelf, not to.
I didn't even realize it was Friday.
I haven't went back and clipped it, so I can't really. I'm not sure I can find it. I laughed so much when he slammed his head into the.
Oh, I heard. It was pretty good. He looked like his ankles gave out.
That was so. This is defamation? No. That's just a banter, so you can't sue us.
Truth is a defense for defamation, Lesko. If you want to take it to discovery, I'll go there.
Hey, Lindsay Hendricks, welcome. Court just ended for the day, so we are just talking this down. There was only 2 ounces of beer and Val's. I know that because no spilling.
I promise you I would never waste beer like that if I can help it.
How was court today? Today we had the first technical witness. We started out with a contractor who was at the house, said, yeah, we dragged him to dragged. I have a hard time with those words. Dragged him to the couch and did the pain test or the pain
the sternum rub.
Yeah, just to see if they could get. He was moaning, but he didn't wake up. They believed he should have been at a hospital, but didn't do anything. The state tried to imply that because she canceled a meeting, again, she unalived him. She's the smartest, dumbest criminal in the world. He
None of
keeps
this
the
makes any
evidence, but
sense.
tries to hide everything by inviting everyone to her house. I have a hard time finding where it is.
None of this makes any sense. They haven't even talked about the possibility of her red rumming him yet that I've heard. Granted, I've missed a little bit here and there, but it seems like seems like a stretch. Seems like the state's stretching real hard.
Valhalla drinks
Yingling.
Yingling. Actually,
Yeah.
quite a good beer. I like it.
It's good. It's good.
Uh,
Baker drank a lot of
American
it
beer.
last time you was here.
A beer, American beer is normally kind of like sex in a canoe, effing close to water. But I like Yingling.
It's good. That's true. That's true. That's true.
Well, I did belch a little bit, but not much.
I
We're
didn't.
trained professionals. Don't do this at home.
Iron Constitution, y'all. Iron Constitution.
I think at the meetup, you couldn't get Yingling. We drank the Cadillac of beer, whatever that is. Didn't we do that? No, you could get Yingling, but I said I wanted something else, and I liked Yingling, so something that tasted like that, and I got the Cadillac of beers, which I can't remember the name of.
The Cadillac? I don't even know what that is. I don't recall.
Someone in chat will. Miller High Life? No.
Not a fan.
I don't know if that was a
No.
good one.
You know who does drink Platinum Bud though? The White Rabbit.
Oh,
I had I had a 6-pack of that in my fridge forever for the White Rabbit. I finally took it back over to her house. The champagne of beers, Coors Light.
I'm not sure. But apropos beer, they have a 30 Carlsberg for 130 on sale. How on earth can one afford to be an alcoholic with these prices? Because they don't drink Carlsberg. They drink. We have a really cheap beer called Powdered Owl. That's I think it's like
Right.
10%. It's like an elephant beer, but just cheap and tastes cheap.
What's an elephant beer?
You never drank a Carlsberg Elephant?
Never heard of it.
If you're ever going to visit the Carlsberg factories, don't pay any attention. It's just Indian sun signs. They got them before the Germans, so they are okay.
Okay. Man, them Germans, they messed up a lot of cool stuff, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, we have an elephant beer is 7.2% alcohol, so 14.4 whatever volume thing that you Americans
pretty
measure it by.
Pretty.
It's an okay premium beer. They also have a Giraffe. That's a little. That's my local brand's strong beer, and I'm not a big fan of Carlsberg. I drink our local. That's called Odense. But that's the real beers to drink.
Okay, I trust you. I believe you.
Pabst Blue Ribbon is the Cadillac of beers, apparently. I think it was a Pabst. It wasn't bad.
Pabst Blue Ribbon? That's not a good beer. It's cheap.
And maybe
it's
it
like
wasn't.
one of the cheap ones. Like you could still, like 10 years ago, you could still get 50-cent cans at the bar, at the dive bars. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fast day. So I'm wondering what to do with the rest of my Friday. I should go get drunk.
Did somebody get
Perhaps
you
it's
Mad
the
Dog
El
2020?
Camino of beers.
The El
It's
Camino
the
of beer.
Pinto.
Yes, the Pinto, exactly.
All the beers Brandon's drinking is 7+%. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that's a strong beer.
I need to try some 2020 Mad Dog. I
Did you
tried
get
Colt
Mad Dog
45 the last
2020?
time.
Yeah, last time you were here, I got you a Colt 4540, and you made it further into that than I thought you were gonna. If I'm being honest,
It's not that bad.
it's not that good.
No, but you've been deployed.
Yeah,
You used to be a soldier. You got paid
Yeah.
military wages. You have drunk worse than that.
Way worse. Way worse.
Modesta, you leave that stuff sit in a bottle. He looks and smells as if someone peed in it. I think I
Modesto?
tried a Modesto. I tried
Modelo? I don't know what a Modesto is.
No, the one with the gold thing on under the cap. Is that a Modesto?
Modelo.
There's a Modelo. There's some gold foil on it.
Yeah, that's a Modelo.
Oh,
There's a
I tried that
Modelo,
one.
Modelo Negro, I think.
Yep, he gave me a Colt 45 and a brown paperback. It was
Damn
like
right.
being in the hood.
Damn right. on the back screened-in patio of Expert's house.
I was actually looking for some old E, but didn't see any. I think.
I think that was the
IPAs
choice I
is
had
good.
to make. It was either Old English or Colt 45, and we went with Colt 45. I think is how that went. Yeah.
Yeah, tuna fish sandwich. Latas de tuna.
Soggy? No, it's no good. No good.
No.
Shouldn't be soggy.
But talking about the ports at the expert, do we have any more information other than the dates? Any participating creators or anything that we can spring on our audience so they might want to come to Tennessee?
Not that I'm aware of, but I assume that we will find out more tonight when we bug him on FNL about it.
Yeah, maybe he'll get to promote it. Maybe late May this time, so people have time to.
It's late, mate. If we stick on him, I think we're gonna force his hand. He's gonna have to start promoting it much earlier if we stay on him. The other day he was in my one of my goat streams, and I was asking him about the video, and he clearly knows that we're plotting against him. He's like, "Oh, you've been talking to Baker, have you?" Man, I don't know what you're talking about. Just make the video, man. Just make the video.
I tried the Shiner Bock. That was okay.
It's okay. There's a local brewery around here called Dunkel, I think. I think it's Dunkel. And they make pretty good beer. Yahoo Dunkel. That's a good one.
When is Karen's case starting? 1st of April.
Wasn't that
And
supposed to
hives
be in
of
January originally?
Bush stock has really tanked. Don't have any
Sure.
stocks in them. We in Denmark we have what's called a stock savings account where you pay a lower tax rate so you can use it to invest. And I was looking because my Rumble stocks did well, so I was just trying to convert it to something. And I saw, the good old SMW, I'm not sure we can say that name on YouTube, had tanked. So I thought maybe with all the stuff going around the world, it could be a good stock to get into. It doesn't say it, but I can't buy it on that account. I can buy it on my normal stock account, but I can't buy it on my specially government. Please invest with these money account. That's funny.
A little bit.
Well, then you should come to Denmark. All our major beers are Pilsners.
Oh, it's Yeehaw. It's Yeehaw Brewery. I lied. It's Yeehaw. Yeehaw Dunkel is a beer that I enjoy from them. Here, it's this place. I shared it. Yeehaw. It's good beer. I like it a lot.
That actually looks like the place we had the live stream.
It kind of does. It might be the place. No, it's not. But it looks a lot like it.
Yeah. Can you remember the name of it? You can pull it up, and then we can plug it. We have 160 people here. We can plug it a little bit.
I will attempt to remember the name. Give me a second.
The Creek something.
That's
in the
it.
room, we stick to bush beer. Miller High Life is often called the champagne of beer because it's effervescent and its shape of the bottle. The Bengali one is a bit harsh. It's probably made with the same as the face mask I showed you earlier. Budvar, that is, I think it's actually owned by the Czech The Czech government state owns the Budvar factory. I'm not sure. I think it might be. So the original Budweiser is Czech. It's a great beer, especially the dark one. Really, really good beer. Valhalla lives in or near Knoxville. Valhalla lives in the States of America.
I'm close to Knoxville. I don't live in Knoxville. Oh, come on now. I think I found it, but it's being lame.
It's stupid.
Yeah, hold on. Load up, you.
Iron Rabbit is way faster than.
Did she get it?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
she got it. That was it. I got it pulled up though. Na. Present, share screen.
Yeah, the original Bud has nothing to do. American beer is very weak compared to what we drink.
So this is the place that we did the live FNL at last year. And it was raining, so we kind of got pushed inside, and it really messed with our sound. But otherwise, it was a blast. This place is awesome. It's got so much to do. So many. It's just like an outdoor venue. They've got like food trucks that are a permanent part of the thing. It's a really just chill, cool place to be.
Yeah, and we should. I think this time we should probably be there a little bit earlier for at least some of the creators, so if people are coming, that they can hang with us. But
well, we did last year. We were there for a couple hours before we went live last year, if I remember right.
I was coming with the expert, you know.
Yeah, that was your problem. You should have came with me. That was
yeah. Then I ripped my pants, so we had to go back again. So
yeah,
that was
I remember that. I remember that.
But no, it's actually quite a cool little place, and there's plenty of parking and
family friendly.
Yeah, if the only thing I didn't like was those toilets. They were weird that they were over there, and there was too few toilets if it's a big night.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll give you that.
I would use the creek more often if I was that type of man.
The creek. The food was really good though.
I didn't have the food; I only had the beer.
The food was good. Me and Expert went a couple months before and tested the food out. It was really good. It's a cool.
No, it wasn't.
Venue,
it wasn't a porta potty, but it was just in a little shack. You can see it on the overview. It's just a little shack on the side. It's not and there was only one per gender. And Valhalla was constantly split because he didn't know what he identified as that night.
So the bathrooms are like right here, and it's just this little building right here, and it's got like I don't know what the girls looks like, but the guys had like one toilet and a urinal, I think.
Yeah, and that's not a lot for a place that holds that many people.
I don't remember there being like any issues though.
Well, I might have done the potty dance over there. You know, when the seal is broken.
I hear you. There's a parking lot. There's a little so that fenced in part actually now has a couple like structures for kids to play on, I think. But it's a pretty cool little place. This is where we got moved inside to. And it's all metal, so it really messed our sound up. But otherwise, the place was awesome.
Yeah, and Steve Gosney absolutely wasn't getting us in trouble by smoking up.
Well, I figured if I'm going to get in trouble for smoking a cigar indoors, it should be with Steve Gosney for the simple fact that he's going to argue his way out of it, right? Like... Yeah, if we're getting in trouble, Gosney's the good guy to get in trouble with.
Funny that you ask. I actually have a book about stoking up in a bar with no smoking signs all over the place. So let me get that one out.
I wrote a paper on that. I hope Gosney comes again. I hope he comes.
Yeah, it could be so cool. Special guest might be. I don't know. Have you heard from the expert today?
No, I've only been awake for like 2 hours.
The person we talked about maybe trying to get on a stream the other day got an invite.
Put it in private chat. I'm slow this morning.
Well,
oh, that'd be dope.
yeah, I'll see if I can do it. Sounds fun.
I'm gonna call him later because
You should.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
let's set something up. What's the name of the place? It's called
Creekside Knox or something, Backyard Creekside, something like that. The website says it's Creekside Food Drink Good Vibes, but you got to put Creekside Knox if you're finding it.
Is Lapland the Finnish equivalent of Bud Light? Lapland is a region of Finland. It's where the Lap people lives. It's the indigenous population that herd reindeers.
Okay. So to clarify, y'all, this is where we spent the FNL, right? This was the Friday. Thursday, we spent all day at Dollywood. We take a couple pictures as a group. We walked the whole park pretty much together, but not like, you're not like being chaperoned.
Yeah, it was kind of like a hybrid group. We got in and out in groups
Yeah.
all the time and talked to everyone.
Yeah.
So
you get a chance to hang out with everybody, and it's just a blast, y'all. We had so much fun last year. We had videos. Wendy H did damn near every ride last year. I was impressed. I was really impressed.
yeah, she was her and Kaiser Pineapple were the Dollywood OGs. They were the ones that won that day.
Hell yeah.
So,
And then Kaiser, I was done, y'all. After Dollywood, I was spent. I wanted to go home and fall down on the floor. Kaiser invited everybody back for like a potluck barbecue kind of thing. He's like, I'm going to cook for everybody. I was like, oh my God, I got to go home, man.
And if you already seen Dollywood, why not something that plays new? Because it's easy to and we know it's pricey, and it, of course not everyone will be able to make that. That's why we also have the live event. But it's easy, and it's a cool place if you haven't been. I don't mind it. I can look at bald eagles again, as long as I get my Slurpee cup and can walk around.
Oh, by the way, so I heard you talking about that the other day. Dollywood has this deal where you buy like a $15 cup or something, and then you get free refills all day. If you have your cup already, bring it, and I think it's cheaper if you already have the cup.
It's right there.
They do? Oh, Ms. Valhalla says they change the cups every season.
Oh, yeah, but if you buy more than one ticket, you get, because I had some problems. My credit card wouldn't, it went to the payment and then it just kicked me off every time I tried to pay. I don't know if because it was a Danish credit card. But if you bought a pack of, I believe, more than one cup, it ended up at like $12 or something like that. But still, we understand that it's not for everyone, and it's an expensive. Amusement parks are just too expensive. But that's why we have the live show where we will show up, hang out, and we'll probably hit a bar later somewhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say we also ended up going to like 2 or 3 different places aside from this, right? We'd be like, hey, Wednesday night we're gonna go to this place and hang out for the night. Everybody come on, we'll do dinner and an activity or something if you want. It was a lot of fun, y'all. Everybody that was at last year's had a blast. I don't think anybody didn't have fun. Even Wendy H, who broke her nose. So there's that.
Yeah, I might be bringing something for her this year.
A helmet.
Well, it's very. I think it's made by the people who makes self-inflating rafts for shipping.
Okay. Do we have hard dates for this yet? Let's go. Yeah, the 5th we're going to do Dollywood, and then the 6th is going to be FNL. And like I said, I'm sure we'll do stuff on the 4th as well, and throughout.
There's probably going to be some, and I will probably, because I think I'm going to do a back and forth.
June 5th.
I'm probably so far, because the difference between me flying into Newark or flying into Chicago is like 3,000 Danish. So I'm probably going to do like an East Coast route and do a meetup and try and if Marissa can help me find somewhere a bar in Pennsylvania and Philly, I'll do a meetup up there, so people who can come down can meet us there, and
Cool.
we'll try and do that. But yeah, then I'll probably fly in before the weekend and then drive up Sunday and fly home Monday or something like that. But
Can
can we
we
see
music going on in that?
Yeah. See, it's a self-inflating bike helmet.
How does it know you're falling?
It has an accelerometer. So it's just you just have it around your neck, and then it self-inflate. So I think Windy H is prime.
What
for
happens
that.
if you just go really fast? Does it just?
I don't bike, so I don't know.
hit a too steep of a downhill at some point?
You all need someone behind the scenes posting all your communications about where you will be and such. Well, have you met the expert?
You ain't gonna keep up. Even if you're there, you're not gonna keep up. It's just not gonna happen. It's like herding cats, y'all. It's not like there's no. If we all make it to Dollywood on Thursday, that's a win. That's a win in my book.
When we were doing the black side, I think it took us an hour and a half just to get some toys together and get out of the house. That was
oh yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna leave at 3:30.
3:30 sounds accurate.
Yeah. But no, if you have the opportunity, please consider it, because it's fun. Last year we all got together, I think Wednesday. Yeah, I flew in Tuesday. Wednesday we were out at the arcade.
Yep.
Thursday we did Dollywood. Friday we did the live show. And Saturday we did nothing. Sunday we did the black side. But this year I'll be driving up. But I'll probably be down before. So I'll be down, thinking flying in Friday and then be down Sunday or something like that.
Cool.
But if I had to drive up to Newark again, it's like 10 hours or something. So I'll probably do it on the Sunday and do half of it, or 6 hours or something like that. I definitely can't do anything up here. If I want to see 2026 later that week, might work.
So come down, man.
Yeah. Later that week, it's Thursday and Friday.
No, he's talking about while you're up in Newark, Philly area. I think he can't do anything that week, but the following week would be the.
Yeah, I'm looking at flying back home at the 9th, so I'll probably. I think like Knoxville to Philly is like 8 hours. So,
you're really going to drive all the way back up there to fly out?
It's if I split it in half, it's just like 6 hours a day.
Yeah. But then you're wasting
Not
2
that
days.
big. I'll stop at Gettysburg, go around, see that.
Okay.
Again, it's 3,000 Danish. It's
to fly out of Knoxville.
I'm looking right now, but it's like $400 difference in the ticket prices.
Hang on now. Hold on. So if we're just driving and wasting 2 days getting back to Newark for $400, I think we should start grifting for the fly out of Knoxville fund, personally.
Do I realize March snowstorm exists? Yeah, but they don't exist in May.
Yeah, in March. Who's doing anything in March?
We're talking June.
May. June. God bless it. Why'd you say May?
Because I'm flying in May. Brandon, how many marriages can you have in a lifetime? You're going to have like 4 or 5 anniversaries.
Huh?
You're grifting?
Not at the moment.
Oh, I thought you said something about grifting.
Well, yeah.
We're always grifting.
We're on the internet.
I need $500 for a present for Rabbit.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you guys! There's a class called basic grifting. Should we all learn how to be grifters together?
That's a whole lot of
If anybody's getting a $500 present, it should be me. I'm just saying.
It'll be about you-ish. You'll use it. But it's a present for Rabbit.
Is it a kegerator?
No.
Oh.
No, we didn't pick exactly the same
No.
dates as last. We are a month later. Last year,
last year it was in
early May.
Was it?
Yeah, because last year it was around Denmark's liberation date.
It's definitely not the same date, though.
No, it's a month later. Yeah, so do I. I
Me
was
too.
just whining over $400, and she's like, "Can you grift the 500? Come on, boy." Yeah.
I always tell her she married wrong, right? So like her second husband's going to have to be for money.
Yeah. The first one is fun. The second is money.
Exactly.
Why is there no court, Penela? Because they are like the Swedes. They are lazy. They went home early.
Half day, apparently. Half day before a 3-day weekend. Chicago trip this year.
But it was early May. I think I flew over in late April.
I don't recall. I could probably look somewhere, but
I can do that.
I just know I picked you up at the airport blasting T Swift. That's all I know.
T Swiftly.
Baker comes walking out of the airport. He's got his, international stank on him still, walking down the old pathway, blasting, shake it off, blasting it.
Oh, it was May the 14th I arrived.
There you go. There you go. That sounds more right. I think wasn't it the 16th that we did the Dollywood?
Dollywood was the 16th, and the 17th was the live show. So it was almost a full month before we did it this year. Just saying. So we're grifting from White Rabbit on Baker Street while he's trying to grift for a plane ticket. Exactly. It's the multi-grift. Arctic cold front up its way here. My bones hurt. I hate my superpower. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did anyone know what the result was? 11 years. She pled guilty to 2 counts, and they seized all her assets. But she got 11 years. And I think 3 years on probation or something like that.
What happened to Proctor the other day? Does anybody know?
February 10th, he'll have a new hearing.
I thought, okay.
You know how it is. It's corrupt as F.
Yeah. They're going to try to keep pushing it off and let him slide back in there with nobody noticing. That's what they're going to try to do.
They're probably going to do can we just keep him going till after the trial, and then we can pretend it didn't happen?
Yep.
Something like that. I think that's the thing that they're going for, but I don't know. There needs to be a dedicated plane ticket fund, or Baker is going to commingle the funds with his beer and Tinder boost funds. Exactly. But my accountant doesn't see any income as different. It's still just income. So it's probably, as long as I can pay it through the business, it doesn't matter that much. At least I get it tax-free. But no, it'll be fine. I'm just, that one where you have 3 different pages open of the same travel website to try and put in the different, and again, flying in and out of Chicago, so driving down to you and driving back up, it's just as expensive as flying in, driving down, dropping the car off, and flying out of Knoxville. But the big problem is I would then have to marry flights with each other, and then one of them allows 2 carry-ons and the other one just allows 1, and then you have to pay extra. It's a whole heck. I'll look at it because there's no stabby day tomorrow, so I might look at something.
Well, here's my suggestion, sir. Fly out of Knoxville so you don't have to waste 2 days at the end driving when you could just be hanging out with us. That's my suggestion. And then we'll figure out the rest later.
Pixie, get some sleep. Yeah, but I think I'm going to, this time I'm going to have a car, because if I could drop a car, if I fly in Friday, do a meetup in either Chicago or Philly on the Friday, and then start driving down, maybe hit Charleston or...
Charleston's past us.
It's past you.
Kinda.
No, because if you go by the highway, I know I can go the other way straight down, but I can drive. It's not that much. It's like an hour more driving, but I'll look into it. We'll talk more about it. But
yeah.
But I like keep the car till Wednesday, so I don't have to be a burden to whoever is nice enough to. If anyone is nice enough to borrow me a couch. So I can go to the gym and go shopping and stuff like that. So because I get up at 8 o'clock and the expert doesn't.
No. The expert might still be awake at 8 a.m.
I'm in Charlotte.
There you go. That's not that far from us.
Yeah, I think they charge. It's depending on the company, but I think somewhere between $200 to $500 for one-way rental. So yeah, no matter if I'm flying to Chicago or Knoxville, I will have to hop somewhere. I think if I'm flying with the Danish company, I'll have to hop to Atlanta and then hop to Denmark. If I'm flying with the British, I'll have to hop to Philadelphia and hop to London and hop to Denmark. And if I'm flying into Chicago, I think every plane I've looked at is either stopping in Newark or Philadelphia. That's why I thought, well, then I could just as well stop in Newark. But I'll look into it. I don't have to buy the plane tickets right now. But
yeah, we got some time, obviously.
No,
Yes.
well, it's cheaper the faster I get on it. But and Daddy needs some premium economy instead of just economy. I'm too fat and too old.
That's a long flight to be all squished up.
I bought the extra leg room the last time, and they put me on an aisle seat.
Yeah,
with no seat in front. So every time they came by with the trolley, she slammed into my feet. Yeah, go F yourself. I paid extra for this. So, but I'm gonna ship the rest of you off. I'm gonna jump off. It's done with streaming today. Tonight, remember 9 p.m. the expert will have his normal Friday show. Go in his chat and write, "Hey, expert, where is the promo video where we can see all the shots from last year's trip to Dollywood
Yes.
and the live show?"
Yes.
And if you're on Twitter, the expert tweets, send him a DM about it as well. Not that he's going to hate me for it, but please do, because then we can make sure that more people might know about it and will join us in the wonderful 10A say.
And I will be streaming the Baby Goat Thunderdome at some point this afternoon. So, Baby Goat Thunderdome, come get some.
Come get some.
What exhibit are you referring to?
I'm going to make this 100, Your Honor.
All right.
100.
100.
Because it is 100%
100%.
correct.
Checking your honor.
So you literally built a cannon?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Go
All right, I'm in love.
back. Please do that again. Oh, that was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
While I'm waiting for this, did you, whether it's true or not, believe that Mr. Randolph had slept with your wife?
I wouldn't care.
You wouldn't have cared?
No.
Did you believe he had slept with your wife?
No.
Did you believe he slept with your mother-in-law?
Probably did. Everybody has.